All right, here we go. We have a comedy legend in the building, Tommy Davidson. Welcome to Vlad TV.
I made it.
You made it.
I made it. It's been a journey.
It was a journey.
It's been a journey.
We got there though.
Yeah, I gotta humbly say, persistence is the key word in this Vlad because, you know, you got me here. And what feels good about that is, you know, is someone's interested in knowing what I'm about, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for no other reason. I'm like, oh man, let's do it. You know?
Well, I've been interested, man. I've been a longtime fan. In Living Color was something I watched every week. It was such a watershed moment, I think, in television that really created something that even to this day people still reference. Yeah. You know, like ask any Caribbean person about "Hey man," or
yeah, man. I got 3 jobs.
3 jobs, man.
Man. I work at the laundromat. I work at the McDonald's. I work at here. Oh, got to go to work. You know
exactly. You know, the homie the clown to all the different characters, to you playing Michael Jackson and MC Hammer and, you know, and everything else like that, man. I think it's still kind of a blueprint to comedy these days. And it's definitely an honor to be sitting down with you right now.
Man. Thank you.
Well, this is your first time here. I want to start in the very beginning.
Okay.
So you have a very, very, very interesting story at the start. So you actually were not born Tommy Davidson. You were born Anthony Reed.
Yep. Sure was.
In Greenville, Mississippi.
Yeah, Greenville, Mississippi.
And at the time, it was one of the poorest counties in America?
Poorest counties in the country. Poorest counties in the country, yeah.
And your mom had you, and then things went very left.
Way left.
Way left.
Got left.
Got left.
You know, even left to the left.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it was the beginning. That's how I came into this world. I was left in a pile of trash, and a woman that was there pretty much randomly found me. Yeah. And my life began there.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. So your mom had you, and did she have other kids at the time, or you were her first?
No, I was her 4th kid.
Okay.
At the time.
So she had 3 other kids. And was there drug problems at the time?
Yeah, that came into the picture. You know, I rather run it in reverse. I found out later.
Right, exactly.
That she had a drug problem way later, you know, because I didn't meet her for my whole life.
Exactly.
You know, this thing, the way it began was being found in my consciousness. You see what I mean? So I didn't know anything about black or white at all. Like, I'm this baby.
Right. Because a white woman actually found you and adopted you.
Yeah. So, you know, it's better to play it in reverse because as I went on to find out more, that's how I formed. Yeah. So here I was, found there, taken, almost dead, you know, unconscious, coma, starved, taken to the hospital for a couple of months, nursed back to health. Then I was taken from there to Fort Collins, Colorado. My mother that raised me and my father were professors at Colorado. So I moved to Fort Collins, Colorado. I remember as far back as when I was 3 or 4. And I was just a little boy, you know, in front of the Christmas tree, you know, and we had a great little neighborhood, and things didn't change until I got 5 when they got a divorce and moved to Washington, D.C. I know none of this. I'm a 5-year-old kid now, right? And we move into D.C. and they say there's a pool around here, you know, and you can go and go to the kids can go to the pool. But as we came into D.C., there were the riots.
Right. Well, because MLK just got shot.
From King got shot. This was in 68.
Right.
So the first thing I saw was fires, tear gas, all the stuff we just saw during the pandemic, which makes this kind of a really good time to talk about this stuff because there's parallels, you know? Yeah. So we get there finally and settle in. So a couple of weeks, people are saying, you know, the kids go and play at the pool. So we went. And at the time I didn't know, but the black kids beat our ass. I didn't know what black was, so they beat our ass.
Right. You didn't realize you were black
Mhm.
until you moved to
Yeah,
DC.
yeah.
It almost reminds me of
Yeah.
the Chappelle skit,
Mhm, mhm,
like
mhm.
the blind,
The blind
blind black
yeah,
kid
yeah.
growing up in a
Yeah,
white
yeah,
orphanage.
yeah.
And,
Yeah, he blind.
you know,
Yeah,
and the
he-
teacher said, well, it's just easier telling me he was white. So he
Right.
grew up as a racist.
Right.
Right, exactly.
That's the best illustration of racism is blind because, you know, Davis, this black dude going, niggers shouldn't stay near us. We need to stay away from niggers, you know? And it's just brilliant because that was my experience. They beat our ass and were saying, white cracker, kill the white crackers and the white cracker lover. So I'm 5 years old.
So you were considered a white cracker lover?
Yeah.
Because you had white parents?
Yeah.
Or white mother at
Yeah.
that point?
But I'm not knowing that. So I go, I'm 5. So I go home and I go, why they keep calling me a white cracker lover? I like graham crackers. I'm 5.
They're brown.
Yeah. You know what I mean? White crackers are kind of dry. You got to have water with them. Graham crackers go straight down, man. Yeah, I appreciate a graham cracker. So she said, that's what people, your color, call people our color when they don't like them.
Mm.
This is where the color split came in for me. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, they're black people. And I said, no, they're not black, though. They're brown. See?
Right. But you had, just a reminder for a second, you had 2, I guess, step siblings.
Yeah, my brother and my sister.
Right, who are both white, obviously.
Right.
Right.
You know, I didn't know that Cindy Brady was white or that David Carrot, Keith, what is his name in Partridge Family? I didn't know that I didn't know Elmer Fudd was white. I just knew Elmer Fudd was Elmer Fudd.
Right.
This is when the color thing came into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so my mother tells me, that's what black people call people who are our color when they don't like them. And I'm like, okay, well, they're not black, they're brown. Because I learned my color from the crayons, right? So she says, yeah, but that's what we call them. So I'm like, okay, well, that's inaccurate. I'm 5 years old. I'm going, because I thought we were like animals. Because I grew up on farms, I grew up in Wyoming. So when I saw a litter, I saw a dog had puppies. A dog could be a brown puppy, have a white one, a gray one, a black one. I thought we were like that.
Yeah.
Or a horse. Could be a white horse, and it would have like a brown coat. So I thought we were like that.
Okay, so you thought at that point that those were your real parents?
No, yeah. I mean, how can I not? I'm looking at I'm looking at the way that nature works, and I'm going, I'm a brown one.
Yeah.
You know, like a little brown kitten or a brown dog, you know, in the litter or whatever. That's what I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
So this is when it got heavy. We moved to the suburbs to get away from all of that, and this is the first time I heard the word nigger.
This is Wheaton, Maryland.
Wheaton, Maryland. In 69. And this is the first time I heard the word nigger. They chasing me down.
This is white people calling you that.
White men, grown men chasing me with my bike. The pickup truck stopped. They get out and run. I was barely getting in the house. People throwing stuff through our windows and stuff.
What were they throwing through your windows?
Rocks or whatever they had.
I mean, wasn't that just terrifying? I mean, to be in your home with your family and windows are breaking and...
Nah, it was a piece of cake. I go through that all the time. No, you know what I mean? It's like, it's like South Beach. You know, I go to the club. No, yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
But my question was, like, I had to go to my mom and say, who are these niggas?
Because you never heard that word before.
Yeah, we got to stay away from them. Like, these are some really bad people, man. She said, I ain't like this. She said, that's what people, our color, call people your color where they don't like them. I said, well, what color are you? They said, we're white. I said, no, you're like beige. And then sometimes the crayon would be called flesh, you know, which was kind of scary for a kid, but oh well. And that's what I'm thinking. They said, yeah, but that's what we call them. I said, well, everybody's stupid because they're calling each other stuff that they're really not, colors they're really not.
Yeah.
They hating each other for nothing, right? So I moved to a black integrated neighborhood, and it's the same problem. The big old white dudes are chasing me. I'm a nigga, and they chase me. And then the white teenagers came. I was 6. And the white men ran that way. And I've been black ever since that day. That day I was like, oh, I'm black.
Because 2 black men basically protected you from white
I'm
racists.
on this side. You know, that was like, oh, okay. I'm with them, you know. And it took some time to learn what that was, you know, what black is and, you know, all that. And then at 58 now, you know, it's an easy conclusion. I'm a human being that happens to be, you know, brown in color, but yet black in soul you know, and African in origin. So I got to put that all together over those years. That's the arc, you know.
Well, you talked about how when you started to go to school,
Mhm.
you felt ashamed when people found out that you were adopted by a white family.
It was tough on me with black people,
Hmm.
you know, because, you know, their opinion was you ain't really black. You know, that's your mother. You ain't black. You know, you ain't down. You
Well,
know?
but although, I mean, back then you still had mixed families. I guess not as much as now, of course, but having
yeah, that was
was having a white mother and a black father considered rare back then?
oh yeah.
Okay, so having a white parent, period, was considered.
Being in the car with white people being in the car with a black person to get your ass killed.
Hmm.
You know, Mississippi, 3 students, you know,
Yeah.
they're trying to do something about civil rights. They're just in their car, all get killed. So, you know, it's still there. It's 69. It's 1969. So it's still there, but you know, humanity is always in the process of growing. You know,
Yeah.
and that cycle led us here. You know, this is the road, you know.
Well, there was a part in your book where you said, I was abused by some men
Mhm.
as a small kid.
Mhm.
You talk about what happened?
I don't really remember, like in detail, you know, but I do know that they came at me sexually, and it was more than one, and it was in more than it was in more than one situation.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
Who were these men? Do you remember?
They
at
were
all?
strangers. I don't even
Just
remember.
strangers?
Yeah,
What setting was it? School?
I don't even remember. I mean,
Kind of blocked it
it's
out
just
a bit.
yeah. It's like, you know, what do you do with that information? It's just like, you
Yeah.
know, even in the book, you know, I'm not going to recall something that I don't know in detail. All I know is that it happened. You know what I mean? Doesn't say nothing about me. It says something about this crazy society.
Yeah.
You know, and how I need to protect my kids no matter what. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's along with racism and everything else, racism and classism, that part, that piece, that sexual abuse piece
Mhm.
is just as prevalent as freaking COVID or maybe more. It's a part of our whole thing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's a part of our whole picture. What's important for me is that I understand what my picture is, you know, putting together the components of what made up my psychological core and my spiritual core is important to me so that I can put them in proper perspective when I walk through this life. I'm like, you remember the Hulk slammed, what's his name? What's the dude?
Rocky?
No, the Hulk slammed, what's his face? So what's his face was talking
Oh,
shit.
Thor?
Yeah, no, he slammed up dude.
Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos.
There we go.
Not Thanos. Thanos is
No,
a big
wait.
old monkey head.
Who
I'm
is-
talking about the one he was like, you know, you're gonna respect me and this, that, and the other thing. And Hulk was like, bam, 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 bam,
Loki?
bam, bam, bam,
The
bam.
Loki?
Loki,
Loki,
yeah,
there we
yeah.
go.
So that's, you know, if I have that, then that doesn't occur because life will come at me with that negativity, and I'll just be like, bam, 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 and then life will be like, hey, go ahead. Why don't you go to Starbucks and have a coffee or something? Why don't you go and hang out with your kids? You know, anger and resentment and you know, self-hate and stuff can just go ahead and have fun. You know.
Well, by the time you were 14,
I counted. He slammed them like 8 times.
8 times.
Yeah.
By the time you were 14, you started shoplifting.
It was earlier than that.
Earlier than that.
Yeah, that was finally when I started getting into the bigger stuff. You know, I started with little racing cars.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, heck yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
So you started getting in trouble, and
yeah.
you know you had like a little crew of guys that you hung out with,
Mhm.
and you guys started basically doing little petty crimes and so forth.
Mhm. Yeah, it happens it happens in the low income. They call them the ghetto. They call it the ghetto. You know, which is actually a European word. Ghetto, European word for where the poor Jews lived in Europe.
Mhm.
And cockroaches are also associated with the ghetto, but they're German cockroaches. So I don't remember any Africans living in Germany. But yeah, it's it's part of the deal. It's part of the society deal. You know, we were just like, let's say, the poor Polish, you know, or the poor Italians that lived in New York City or Pittsburgh, you know, before Boys Club of America and Girls Club of America and 4-H and before Boys Town and before the government got together and got all these programs and said, let's get these thugs off the street. You know, African American boys didn't have that privilege, nor to this day. You know, and so yes, it's the beautiful part of that is that I recognize that that's a part of who we are, all of us. I used to think it was just black people, you know, until I saw it in a broader context. And I was like, yeah, my kid, when they were 5 years old, can answer this question. If you put 100 people in a room for a month, but you give them enough food for 10, my 5-year-old would tell you it's going to be trouble.
Right.
I mean, it's just part of the thing.
Yeah. Well, you had a crew of 6 friends, mm-hmm. and when you look back at them today, mm-hmm. 3 of them are dead, mm-hmm. and 1's in prison. Mm-hmm. Through that time, it seemed like you went through some hardships.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with cops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One cop put a gun in your mouth?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was that about?
Mm-hmm. Well, that was about, you know, four little black dudes broke into a moped shop, you know, and we were running and we all sold drugs, you know. And so I got a big old lid of weed, you know, and he's got a gun, you know, and they catch me and the gun goes in my mouth. You know, it's sort of like when the pandemic came and everybody was forced inside and everybody had to look at the TV and everybody said, oh, wow, that white cop put his knee on the black dude's neck until he died.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
George Floyd.
Yeah. And everybody was like, that was wrong. You know, but until then, no one really thought that was that wrong.
Right.
You know, you don't put a gun in a little 14-year-old's mouth. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's...
Well, how is that? I mean, you're sitting there, mm-hmm. barely a teenager, mm-hmm. and you have a pistol in your mouth mm-hmm. with an angry white man mm-hmm. holding it. Mm-hmm. Did you think that it was over at that point?
Of course. He had a dog in the car, too. The dog was like coming at me, too.
Right, because he put the dog in your face as well. So it was really a vicious situation.
It was a situation for a kid.
This is before body cameras. Imagine if this body camera footage came out today.
It's pre-body cam.
Right.
It's pre-body cam. But, you know, it's a product of my environment, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's a product of it's not like I grew up in an environment that's something outside of what's the norm for people that come from that environment. That's not uncommon. No, that's not a black or white thing. That's just a societal thing. You know what I mean? And I'm included in that. You know, it's one of the things that if you're a young man in those situations, it's one of the things that you have to grow through, understand, and transcend. You know, just as well as any other ethnic group.
Right. And during that time, mm-hmm. there was also a lot of death mm-hmm. around you. Mm-hmm. You saw your football coach get stabbed by his girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You were in the lobby when you saw a guy get shot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're seeing these murders mm-hmm. as a kid happen around you. Mm-hmm. Like, what does that do to a kid's mind seeing a murder right in front of them?
What it did to my mind was it just let me know that you can be gone just like that. Mm. And I wasn't really aware of that. You know, when you're a kid watching the Charlie Brown, Thanksgiving special with the Great Pumpkin, you know, or you're watching Scooby-Doo, you know, I love Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo, where are you? I think they smoke weed though. They hung out in the van, you know, Shaggy, you never shave, you know what I mean?
Right.
You always get the munchies. Oh, yeah. That's weed.
Yeah.
But you're not thinking as a 10-year-old, like your life could be ended at any moment. It didn't occur to me, my friend's uncle, his name is B, he used to throw the football with us and he used to come out and play with us. And he ended up getting shot in his chest in his apartment. And I was like 11 and I went, that can happen? That can happen? So as an 11-year-old, it was an epiphany for me. But as a 58-year-old, it gives me some clarity, because if I was 11 and had the mentality and could accept that reality at that time instead of it being something new, I may be out there right now or in some penitentiary or in the ground because I would absorb that as a way of life. So although that occurred, I was blessed to not have to go that path or be able to transcend that and understand the realities that control the African-American males and where I came from. It's bigger than me.
Well, you're hanging out in this environment, and you and your friends, like you mentioned, are selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
So you got money coming in that your mom isn't giving you, and your mom starts to find cash, and she finds a gun under your bed and other electronics and so forth, and she's not putting up with it. She kicks you out the house.
Yeah, that don't belong here.
Yeah. Well, why were you carrying a gun at that point?
Well, actually, I was holding it for a friend of mine, but all of them had one, but me. Because of the atmosphere I grew up in. That's what it was about.
Were you getting shot at or involved in shootings yourself?
I've been shot at once, but for some reason, when guns were involved, my boys never let me go. I used to think they thought I was a bitch or whatever. And that was like a fight. Like, why y'all don't want to go with me? Want me to go with y'all? Or would y'all think I'm a bitch or whatever, And they're like, you can't go. It was a fight a lot of times. And, now I realize that it was the good God watching out for me because they knew that I wasn't made for that there was something else I was supposed to be doing,
Right. Well, you got stabbed at one point.
Through my hand. Yeah. That's just, that I can fill in that grocery list by saying I grew up in D.C. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you were to ask a 80-year-old white dude what it was like to live in Pittsburgh during the 40s, he'd tell you he was in a motherfucking gang and he stuck people up and he robbed people and did the whole nine.
Right.
If you asked a 90-year-old Irish guy who grew up in New York City, he'd probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
He'd probably tell you the same damn thing. Same little grocery list.
Yep.
So
your mom kicks you out and you move in with an older guy?
Yeah, his family.
Yeah.
I moved in with his family thinking, I had to go somewhere. And his name was Big Bill, so he would try to keep us out of trouble. He was the guy that got the rec center, had bicycle rallies for us, would organize football leagues for us to keep us out of trouble. So I thought if I go and lived at his house, I would be cool. You know what I mean? But then I went to his house and I wanted to climb out the window the first day because they had more chores than I did. So I was like, shit, I want to go. I want to go home. I thought I had to clean up a lot. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm ready to get out of here. But the pivotal lesson came there because that night with the gun and all that, I told them that was my dad.
Yeah.
See, I was going to jail that night and something happened really significant in my thinking. My thinking started to change from wanting to be this thug, wanting to be this person that was going to engage himself in all his behavior, right? Because in that atmosphere, that's cool. And like I'm telling you, it's not just an African-American atmosphere. In that atmosphere of the lower income where people are in despair, like I told you, my 5-year-old will go, something's going to happen in that room and they don't give them enough food. They're going to have to eat, right? So I go over there and I tell them that's my dad. So I'm thinking I got out. Like I can get out of this because all I got to do is tell them Big Bill's my dad. So they took me home. They said, that's your father? Because he worked with the police station. All that. Yeah, I said, yeah. So I walked in the house with them. He opens the door. He says, they say to him, is this your son? He goes, yeah. So they walk out. I think he's going to say to me, man, you need to keep your ass out them streets. You need to get yourself together. You're going to get yourself killed. You got to watch your dinner. This, that. He only said to me, he said, Tommy, he said, one day, he said, you're going to have to be responsible for your own actions. And he didn't say anything. That was a pivotal moment for me because since he didn't push back, he gave me the opportunity to really look at the situation for what it really was. And what the situation really is that I actually have a choice in the matter.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about that. I actually have a choice in the matter. And so that led to the next thought, led to the next thought, led to the next action. You know, I actually ended up going back home. You know, my mother ain't let me in the door though. I knocked and she opened the door and the little chain was on. She was like, you know, what? you know? But what hurt me the most was, you know, where we shot dice and hung out and drank and stuff like that at the liquor store was a group of us. That was the hangout. When my mother would walk by, everybody loved my mother. So they, hi, Miss Davidson. Hi, Miss Davidson. How you doing? You know, they stop everything they're doing. And I said, hi, Mom, and she didn't speak to me. So I said, man, I gotta go home. She opened that daggone door. She was like, you want to come back in this house? You got to get a job. Boom. And close the door. So I went to IHOP, cheated on my little application, you know, because I wasn't old enough. I was 14, but you had to be 15. So I was 15 that day. I took the busway out to Wheaton, Maryland, and got that job at that IHOP. And I ain't stopped working yet.
Right, because you went to college. Well, you graduated high school, right, in 81.
By the skin of my, by the hair, the last hair of my nose. No, but there's
barely.
more though. There's more hairs up there. If I go like that, they'll be like, huh.
You went to college, but you dropped out.
Yeah.
I guess your mom cried when she heard the
She
news.
cried, yeah. She cried.
But you started working. You worked at IHOP. You worked in the kitchen at a military medical center, Roy Rogers. And then...
Stop! He really researches.
That's right.
Roy Rogers. That's Roy Rogers' family restaurant, by the way.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And then in 1986, that's when the comedy thing started.
That's when it started.
Were you always like a funny class clown? Like everyone's always cracking up around you, doing characters, or did that kind of come later?
It's my, how did Darth Vader had Luke hanging. You know, he already cut off his damn hand. You know, he told him, you know, Luke, this is your destiny. You know, it was my destiny to be funny, man. Let me tell you something, man. From the first grade, kids laughed at what I said, and I was being serious.
Boom.
I got in the first grade, and we were learning the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and I put up the Black Panther fist, right? And all the kids were laughing, man, and I was serious.
Right.
And I got sent to the principal's office over that. My teacher said, what the hell you think you're doing? She's black too, my teacher, Miss Woodard. You go into the principal's office now. And everybody was like, uh-oh. And so when I got to the principal's office, the secretary said, so you're the comedian, huh? Because he wants to talk to you, you know? And I was like, I never even heard the word. And I got in there and he's like, so you're the funny guy, you know? Let's talk about this and everything, blah, blah, blah. So my mother, called my mother, I said, they don't want to do that. Because my mother, she don't play, right? So she comes to the office, sits down, and he says to her, you know, your son thinks he's funny. He puts up the Black Panther fist and this, that, and the other thing. And my mother told him, in all her whiteness, boy, she told him, well, that's all he knows about himself. He knows who he is. He knows who the Black Panthers are. You know, when we moved here, we moved to Washington, D.C. Okay, he knows who he is. His favorite song is Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud by James Brown. He knows who Angela Davis is. That's all he knows about himself at this point in first grade. If you're trying to teach him the Pledge of Allegiance, he'll learn it. But you're catching him at a point that that's what he knows about himself.
Love it.
You know what I'm saying?
Love it.
I was like, okay, and then I got in trouble. I got punished and all that stuff. But it kind of showed me, and I can only look back at this to make sense of it. It kind of showed me that bravery about that humor is something about me, you know, because I didn't like it. I used to be at Thanksgiving dinners with my whole family there, and I would say something and everybody would laugh. And I didn't like that. So I go to my mother. Finally, I went to my mother. I said, why do people laugh at me when I say something? And she told me, people aren't laughing at you. She said, Tommy, you have a way of putting things that makes people happy so fast that the first thing they do is laugh before they can even think.
Wow. Okay.
But I didn't really connect that until like maybe 20 years ago. I thought about her saying that to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that that's where it came from. I never wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to be a singer.
Or a cook.
Yeah. Or a chef.
Yeah.
Like I thought if I was a comedian, no one would ever take me serious.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be the opposite. That's how life is. You thinking one thing, and life will show you something else, boy.
Well, Dave Chappelle grew up in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You said on the good side.
Yeah. I mean, the neighborhood that he lived in wasn't like the one that I lived in,
right.
You know? And, Dave was a little bit younger than me. So, I saw him here and there, you know what I mean? As a kid and stuff like that. He was kind of scared of us a little bit.
Right, yeah. He said he was scared of being around you guys.
He would see us and be like, I'm going to go over here. I don't blame him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Now he scares me. I go around him. I'm going to get away from him, No. But now it's just the opposite now. No, that's my man, no. But it's true. And for me, that has to do with something very important that I've come to understand. And that's how African-American males view each other. And view each other's legitimacy or their manhood or whatever. That has to somehow be equated with you can fight, or that I can take your stuff from you. I'm more man than you because I can outman you or outpunch you or bust you in your mouth or take what you have. That whole thing, And I now understand, what that's linked to, And it's very ancient. It's very, I don't want to say ancient, but it's historical for us as African men in this country because, hey man, you're snatched from West Africa, there's more than one country there. There's more than one language there. You were being snatched to go over here to pick, to pick resources like cotton and tobacco and cut sugar cane to make money for this European country that can find progress. But if you take 5 men from 5 different parts of Africa that speak the same language, then if you put them on a plantation, it's not so good that they know how to talk to each other. So let's put them in separate places, okay? So that they can't communicate with themselves. And then let's establish a reward system where we give one something and we don't give it to the other so that they're always in competition. Mm. So there's a seed to it if you understand it.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, there's a seed to it. But for us, it's more than just divide and conquer. It is meticulously sliver in very precise and thought out division to keep that type of thinking maintained within us.
Jim Crow
being a period of that.
Yeah.
But the initial atom bomb.
Yeah.
The initial atom bomb, and nobody likes to say it, is the slave trade.
Yeah.
And what that's done to our psyche. You know what I mean? And it doesn't, it doesn't say, a lot of times I'll talk like this and people go, why, you sound like a militant. Why you sound so angry? I ain't angry.
It's just history.
This is just history. Yeah. I think in the Holocaust that it wasn't a good thing, and I don't think anybody that was involved in that is happy. You know what I mean? But evolving from that is damn sure a happy process.
Yeah. Well, you started going to comedy clubs. And I guess, was Dave going to the same comedy clubs at the time, performing?
You're clever. I love it. Exactly the same time. Right. See, I started in a strip club, because a friend of mine asked me to just try it. So it was just like, he said, I got you a little gig at the worst strip club. It's the worst strip club in D.C. It was crazy. Like the guys, honestly.
Girls with bullet holes.
I mean, yeah, honestly, man. Honestly, man. No, honestly, the guards that are out front, they had these little T-shirts that said.
They got their kids on stage with them.
Yeah. No. Honestly.
Couldn't find a babysitter, sorry.
No, honestly, this is the truth. The guards that stood out there, the big brothers, they had shirts that said, please don't shoot him in the back. You know what I mean? In the back of them. But so I started there, and then I was winning comedy contests, and I was starting to do concerts. I never played a comedy club for the first probably 6 months of doing comedy. So somebody said, go to this open mic. Sinbad was performing there. Sinbad had won Star Search. Mm-hmm. Star Search is like the equivalent of The Voice or whatever now.
Yeah.
And so we all, yeah. So we all, come down to this place because it's the place where you're supposed to start doing stand-up comedy. And I got there, and lo and behold, that's where I met Chris. I mean, that's where I met Dave. And that's where I met Martin. Because we were all there the same day, that same night.
Wow.
Yeah, we were all there the same night.
Did you and Dave have a relationship at that point, or?
Yeah. I mean, we started knowing each other through comedy.
Yeah.
I didn't really see Dave again for years because I was one of the first ones to go from D.C. to Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So Dave came out there, and then I would see him at clubs and stuff. He was working his way up, and we finally did a movie together. We did Woo.
Yeah, later on.
Yeah, later on together. Yep. Yeah.
Right.
So we did Woo, and then since then he done blew. My boy is doing he's like the voice of comedy, man. He took on a whole nother, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Dave is killing the game.
Well, you're doing the comedy clubs, and then you do an amateur stand-up at the Apollo, which was a big deal at that point. Mm-hmm. And was that when people really started noticing who you were and the agents started coming and so forth?
Not at the Apollo.
No.
At the Apollo, I pretty much established myself as a bad motherfucker because the Apollo wasn't like the TV one. The TV one is, you can't wait for the guy to come out and it's funny, and people wasn't trying to lose with the real Apollo. You ain't trying to lose. So everybody was good. Singers. There was barely any comedians in that, and that worked to my advantage because I just slayed everybody. It came down to the last one. I think I won, but another guy won. But I really did win because that's when I started really getting attention. Mm-hmm. But the most pivotal part of that was I met my first manager there, Sinclair Jones. And what he did was he looked me right in the face. He said, you can do movies, TV, you can write your own ticket. He said, if you let me take you to LA for a week, I'll pay for your hotel, your plane, and you like it out there, would you move out there with me and let me manage you? We went out there for a week. We went to the clubs, the Comedy Act Theater and all these clubs, and that's where I met Damon and Keenan and all them, Eddie Murphy and all them, and they put me on stage, and I was like Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, man, when the dude, took the rope off of him in the tournament, He
was ready.
And he was ready. Mm-hmm. And they was gonna fight Bolo. Bolo! Bolo's a big one, it's him and John Saxon, right? And Bruce was gonna go to him, and John Saxon said, nah, I'll handle him. And the whole audience was going, nah, man, let Bruce get at his ass.
Well, you had as you're building up, you end up having this gig at the Comedy Store. And on the ticket, it was you, Eddie Murphy, and Richard Pryor. So the three of y'all would perform every night, and you're part of this ticket with the two gods of comedy. When you talk about the greatest stand-ups ever,
they still are.
Some people say Richard Pryor, some people say Eddie Murphy. But usually, they're on everyone's list.
They neck and neck, man.
They neck and neck.
That's like Kobe and Jordan or something.
Exactly.
You're gonna get it there.
So this was, hold on, I'm trying to figure out the timeline here. So 88, did Eddie already do Raw and Delirious?
He had done Delirious while I was still in D.C.
Aha. So he was a mega star at this point. Was he doing movies at this point?
Dude, yeah. Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Hills Cop was out? So you're going on with this guy?
That's what I'm saying.
What the hell?
I know.
Wait, why was he... Okay, hold on. So why was he still doing clubs considering that he was doing movie
because he's a real comedian.
Well, and Richard Pryor as well, because he was Live at the Sunset Strip was already out, right?
Because he's a real comedian.
Oh, so he just liked it.
Yeah. It's like, once you got that, you're a real comedian, you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to do it. You're gonna do it when you want to do it because you want to do it.
Right.
Because you love it, you know?
And a lot of times they would put you in the middle of those two.
It happened, what it was at the tail end of me becoming who I am today. I got here, that was all fine and dandy, we gonna move out to LA, right? It sounds pretty simple, right? Mm-hmm. So we do that. We pack our stuff in his Nissan Sentra, his rental car, and I put my big Glad bag full of clothes in this big giant TV, looked like a fish tank. They got flat screens now, And we get out there, and it's not, Hollywood ain't what it appears to be, man. We got to go and get jobs, and we didn't know anybody.
But you worked in a deli, I think?
We worked in a deli, and it was like one day at a time. And for 3 years, every night at the clubs, every night working, if on the weekend, if I can afford a pizza and to play me some video games, that was something good.
Right. Martin Lawrence, I guess, lived in your building?
Martin lived in my building.
And was Jim Carrey around?
Jim was around. Jim was big then. Jim was in the main room, at the Comedy Store. I couldn't have asked for a better obstacle course to get to where I am. Or a better combine or a better danger room. I like X-Men's danger room probably better. Because when I got here, they weren't letting me in the clubs as a regular, the white clubs you can call them, because I was killing them. And it looks like the only reason why they wouldn't let me in was because I was black, because they were like, you're not what we're looking for. And I'm like, but I'm funny. So I had to put that together. But at the Comedy Act Theater over across the way, I was getting standing ovations. You see? So it was 3 years of that. I even wanted to go home because it got so damn deep on me. And I finally got a call from the Comedy Store, which I had become a regular, but not in the main room. So I got to watch all these people work and work my ass off to become who I am. Tom Hanks
Tom Hanks started out as a stand-up comedian. Yeah. That was before Bosom Buddies, I guess? Or?
Before his movies. Bosom Buddies was his first TV show. Yeah. Michael Keaton, Roseanne.
Michael Keaton was doing stand-up, right.
Roseanne, Adam Sandler.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi was kind of, it was Whoopi and Robin, and those were the hot people. Billy Crystal, they were the...
Oh, they're already established.
You're like, whoa, you see them come through. You're like, oh man, Billy Crystal is this bitch. You know what I mean? Whoa, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about, the comics that were there and watching them work. Yeah. And adding that to me. Yeah. I was like Tony Stark, when he first put together the suit. He was like, clack, 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 and he chested it out, And so, no. And so by the time I got a call from Mitzi, who I hated because I thought she was holding up my career by not letting me get into this main room. And I was ready, I was ready from day one. It's like, nah, that's not true. What it did was it gave me a fire to develop into what I became. But they called me and said, you got the main room with Pryor and Eddie Murphy. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm hosting. I finally got to be a host. So what do they want me to say about them? And they were like, nah, you're on the show. I was like, oh, I'm on the show? Okay, so what do they want me to introduce them as? What do they want in the introduction? They was like, no, you're on the show. There's 2 shows. I mean, there's 4 shows, Friday and Saturday. The first show Friday, you go, Richard Pryor goes on first, you go on second, Eddie Murphy goes on third.
You got to follow Richard Pryor? You have to follow Richard Pryor?
They put me between both of them. They put me between both of them because every show, either one of them was starting or finishing, and I was in between. Yeah. And
or you have to follow Eddie Murphy.
Right. But I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready. I was like Jordan when he lost to Boston and still got 60 and then went to the All-Star game and they was ignoring him, and he had his own tennis shoes, and he broke his ankle, and then he had to come back from that, and he was losing his hair, so he went bald headed, and now he come back like Black Panther with the muscles, and number 2-3 with the gold chain, in his own shoes. It was like that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I knew who I was at that point. So at that point, you know, I was like 2-3 coming down, whatever, threes, bam, whatever, with two, bam, whatever, steals, bam, offensive, pop, rebounds, the whole 9. I was ready. I turned it out. And that's when the ascension started in my career. It was that night.
Before we get off this topic, I have to ask you, for someone that was there and saw it, out of all those shows where you got to watch Eddie Murphy do one set and Richard Pryor do the other set, who was better?
Out of the two of them?
Out of the two of them.
Yeah, they both better in their own way.
You don't want to answer it. Okay.
No, they both better they both better in their own way. They both better in their own way. You know? They're both better in their own way. But because I can
who got a bigger reaction out of the audience? Because wasn't Eddie sort of the bigger star back then, technically?
Yeah, he was the newer
star. He was a younger,
he was the newer star.
Guy, you know?
Yeah, he was the newer star,
yeah.
You know? Eddie Murphy was sexy with it in the whole 9 yards.
The leather suits.
Yeah, he had red leather going.
You know, he was chest out.
He was a man. Like, he was he was hot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Pryor wasn't as hot because his hot period was 15 years before, before Eddie was, you know, in high school. You see what I'm saying? But he's the legend coming up in that pitch.
Right.
And he's got the skills. So you got a legend, and then you got the hotness.
Right. I guess Pryor's wife got into a fight.
Yeah, there was something happening. I mean, it was a wild night. But the best thing that happened for me was Stevie Wonder was there. It's celebrity based.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was about to go home, man. I was about to go back to D.C. because I was like, I can be working back home. You know, I had a good job. I had 2 jobs. I had a job the equivalent of like a Home Depot. And I had a job the equivalent of I worked at a Ramada Inn as an assistant chef. I had 2 cars, a little apartment, like I was doing good. And so here I am in an apartment and like everything, you know, I was about to go home, you know. Man, after that show, this is the first time I met Richard Pryor. You know, there's the big room, right? Where there's, you know, all the celebrities, you know, you open the door, you can look inside. Man, it's all kind of chicks in there, it's food, they having a good time. All the celebrities are there, Magic and everybody, right? And then there's these little closets that's next to the big dressing room. And each comic can kind of sit in there, you know. So I'm sitting in there, you know, with my boy, you know, 3 years, we accomplished this, man. You know, we in it. We so happy. And man, Richard Pryor walked back there. And apparently he was looking for me because when he finally came to the little thing I was in, man, he looked at me up and down. And we were like, because we were talking and then we turned and he was, you know, he looked me up and down, man. And he shook his head. He said, man, you's a funny motherfucker. And he just walked away and me and my boy was like, yes. Now what?
Now what?
Now what? I called my mother. I told her what happened. She said, I told you not to leave. It was like one of them. It could be in a movie or something, man. It was that kind of moment, you know?
Well, you end up signing William Morris Agency after that.
All that happened after that.
And then Peter Townsend end up getting you your first role on TV in Partners in Crime.
Robert.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Robert.
I fucked up.
Robert Peter, it's a white boy name. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So why can't we go back to African names? You know what I'm saying? You know? Wagandu Townsend, okay? No, Kweku Townsend.
Okay. I was going to cut that out, but fuck it. We're going to keep it in there. Right. Robert Townsend cast in your first TV role, Partners in Crime. And I guess Keenen Ivory Wayans was on set while you guys were doing the show?
Was his partner.
Uh-huh.
I had met Keenen and Robert at the premiere of Hollywood Shuffle. Which was the first movie like that of its kind.
Great film.
That and She's Gotta Have It were the first black comedies that were done by young black people that came from back east in Chicago. So there was a renaissance that was began. So I went to that Hollywood Shuffle And Robert and Keenan were partners on it creatively, you know. Then Partners in Crime was a television show. But at that same time, Keenan had his own movie, which was I'ma Get You Sucker.
Great film.
So I went to that premiere too because my manager drove me over into Century City over here to a movie poster that said Hollywood Shuffle. And he said, that right there is the future of Black Hollywood right there. You know, and I was like, yeah, you know. But I didn't realize that he was right because I went to those premieres and I met Robert at the premiere. I met Keenan at the premiere. I talked to him after the thing. They had seen me as a stand-up, so they knew I was bad. You know what I mean? They knew I knew what I was doing. But that's where I met him. After watching me work, Robert called and said, I'm putting you on Partners in Crime, which was on HBO, so it's my first TV appearance, but not random. They had seen my last 55 bouts with knockouts in the first motherfucking round. So he was like, hey, you know, I want you on that joint. And it was one of the best things ever happened to me, yeah.
Right, because right around that time, they were about to launch In Living Color.
It was. I didn't know about that, but yeah.
Yeah. So they started doing auditions for In Living Color. And you were one of the people that auditioned. And there was a lot of people that auditioned. I guess John Leguizamo.
Go ahead, give me the list. I want to hear.
Was it T.K. Kirkland? Did he audition?
Go ahead.
D.L. Hughley?
Go ahead.
Those two were friends of mine, regulars on the show.
Martin
Lawrence.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, who made it.
You know, it was just a list of all the David Allen Greer.
Yep, who made it as well.
But they weren't names. We weren't names.
Just hot comedians.
We were names on the list, but we weren't names. Jim was more of a name. Damon was more of a name because they had done movies. And they really got some exposure out there. They were there 10, 15, 12 years before I got there. You know, Keenan and those guys. They paved the way, really.
Right.
So, yeah, that everybody wanted that. Everybody wanted it.
Right. At the time, Fox was a relatively new network. It was the newest network. This was before cable, I believe. And, you know, they came in like, okay, you know, they got The Simpsons. That was going to compete against The Cosby Show. And eventually won, if you think about it. It's still around.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, they had real money behind their projects and they had, you know, they were on a network. So everyone in America with a TV could watch it. And for the first time, you had this Black variety show that had never really been done on television before, right? I mean, of course, you had SNL with a mixed cast, but not really a primarily Black cast until Living Color.
Haven't had it.
When you first, you know, got cast, did you think, okay, this is going to be massive, or we'll see what happens? I'm not sure. Maybe it'll just, you know, won't get picked up for a second season. How did you feel coming into it?
I said no. I didn't want to do it.
You didn't want to do it?
I didn't want to do it. No,
Why?
I was like, I ain't doing that. Well, because I went through, after the period, you know, of getting hot, I went through an opportunity curve, a huge one for my career. So I got a lot of offers at the same time. So I got an offer for a holding deal at Disney for, I think, like $250,000 or something. I went to Robert Townsend and I said, what do you think about that? And he told me, if you think that's the last $250,000 that you ever gonna make, then take that deal. You know, I was like, okay, all right, I hear you, right? And there was a show that I had the starring role with, I didn't know at the time, but it was Murphy Brown. So I had a starring role in Murphy Brown along with the co-star, which was her, right?
Yeah, Candice Bergen, right?
Candice Bergen. Yeah. I didn't know. And then I had an offer for the lead role in Coming to America, the television series.
Right, which never happened.
Right? Yeah. It happened, but it didn't happen.
It never came out.
And I worked my butt off, and that's a long story. But I basically passed on everything, and then I chose that over everything, right? And then that didn't work out, so I had nothing. All that to boil down to nothing. Like being that hot and then starting out from scratch. And my manager looked me right in the face. He said, man, don't even worry about that shit, man. Let's just go back to the clubs and let's just keep on doing what we're doing. And we did. So when I heard that Keenan was doing In Living Color through my agent, I said, nah, I'm not trying to deal with that. You know, I'm back in the clubs because I'm a very coachable player. I'm like a boxer or quarterback or whatever. He said, we getting back in the gym. I'm like, let's go. You know, I have that type of focus. But my agent, who was brilliant in approach, you know, called me and said, can I talk to you? And I was like, yeah. He said, why don't you just audition? And if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. And I went, you know, and I did it. And I got it.
Right.
You know?
Chris Rock was supposed to be part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
But that never happened.
Everybody was supposed to be a part of the show.
Right.
You know, but fortunately they happened in spite. You know? I mean,
and
what would Chris be, you know? Chris, you know, what would Dave be if he was on there? You know, Destiny plays his hand.
Right.
You know?
Paul Mooney, I think, was a writer.
Paul was a writer. We had some great writers. Yeah. Well, that was our show. Our show was based on the fact that we had some badass writers from all kind of backgrounds, especially the black writers, because there was no black writers in Hollywood at the time, you know? So it was our writers and the combination of us having skills and Keenan being very smart, very smart. Keenan is like, I call him Professor Xavier, man. He took all the mutants, put them in the danger room, showed them how to work together, put them in that ship, that black ship that they got, and got it done.
You get through the first season.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you guys won an Emmy?
Yeah.
At the end?
Yeah.
How did that feel? I mean, you didn't, did you personally win it or was it?
Yeah, you know, I felt good about it.
Yeah.
But it really was, I was really young, you know. I was glad that I won it, but I didn't understand its significance at the time, you know. And also, it was kind of I was a part of the team.
Yeah.
And not really the ownership.
Right. And Keenan had like every family member
yeah.
on that show.
Yeah. No, it's more like I can now liken it.
Sister.
Yeah, I can now liken it to football, you know. Yeah. It's like, you know, you hoist that damn Lombardi trophy, you know, and as a player, you're like, man, this is representative of what I can do with my career and how good of a player that I am. And then you hand it to the owner who owns the franchise, you know. And so, you know, it reminds me of when Denver won it, you know, and he's got the Lombardi and goes, this one's for John. You know what I mean? you know, like the owner of the Patriots, Tom Brady did, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, but it's the organization. It was, I was a part of an organization. So it wasn't really my Lombardi, you know what I mean? But it was my show. Yeah. And that was significant for me, you know?
Right. And you played a lot of very famous characters on that show. You were like the main Michael Jackson character, right?
Yeah. Black and white. I made $1 million by the time I was 10. I made a love song to a rat named Ben. I played with little animals. And I changed my skin from black into white. But look me in my face and tell me if you think I'm black or white. If I'm black or white, you tell me we don't know. I'm black. You tell me we don't know. And then the police arrest me, and I go, I guess I am black. You know, that was the bomb. That was the bomb ass sketch.
Yep. I remember my dad told me about that skit one day.
Yeah, what we did had power, boy.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did Hammer.
You did Hammer?
Hammer. Uh-oh. And Hammer was the hottest.
Yep.
So that was a great sketch for me to do, you know.
Did Hammer appreciate that sketch?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Right. Well, because you also played Spike Lee.
I played Spike Lee.
Who did not appreciate. He ain't like it. Because you ran into him at one point.
Yeah, I ran into him in Brooklyn.
And he was like, I know who you are.
Yeah.
I don't like that shit.
Yeah.
What did he say? I think he said he didn't like white writers making fun of black people.
Right. He great sketch. You know, Joy, what? Joy, what? Joy, what? Joy, what? Come here. So, you know, Spike was hot, man. Spike had movies. Spike
Do the Right Thing was out.
Oh, man, you know, you were in New York, you know, with Ed and Dre. I mean, it was like he was Mars Blackman. He had tennis shoes. He's the man. He's got
doing Jordan commercials.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing Jordan commercials. He got 40 Acres and a Mule up in Brooklyn. He's got his own film company. He's doing the Black College thing, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm into it. Everybody's into it. I got his jacket. I got his hat. I'm up in Brooklyn. I'm at a store, you know? And I'm like, yo, you know? And I'm into him. I auditioned for School Days before In Living Color.
Oh, okay.
I took the subway from DC to try to get that job. And I didn't get it, but that's cool. And so I go to his store and I'm getting me some gear, you know? I'll get me some 40 Acres in the Mule and all this. I got my hat, you know, I'm coming from the store with the joint, you know, and I see him walking. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Spike Lee walking right there, you know? Oh my God, right? I remember seeing a movie poster of She Gotta Have It in DC and going, what is this coming? Because I'd never seen anything like that, right? Mm-hmm. I've seen, you know, B-boy gear and hip-hop gear because I grew up in New York City and D.C., but I never saw it on a movie poster. What is this, right? So I'm finally meeting this dude, right? And he's walking by me. I said, what's up, Spike, man? How you doing, man? I'm Tommy Davidson. That dude said, man, I know who you are. I was like, oh, okay. You know, I was a little happy, right? He said, yeah, those writers, those white writers of yours wouldn't let us talk about their leaders like that. And I was like, you know, actually, I agree, but I ain't one of the writers. I'm just on the show. And he said, that's all I got to say. And he walked away. So I'm like,
crushed.
Yeah, I'm kind of a rumblefish. You know, I was like, you know, if I turned around right now, I could probably catch him in that part of his back. You know what I mean? With my right foot, you know what I mean? Right at the base of the hip, you know what I mean? Where you can force someone, you know, where if you hit it hard enough, you ain't got to kick it. All you got to do is kind of like hit it and then spring it. You know what I mean? And then and that spring forces them onto their stomach like they're going in the home plate. So I almost did the back, you know, the bottom of the back flex push that'll force him into that. You know what I mean? And I was like, nah, man, let that boy go. And so you know, it's not really a kick. It's like a spring. You know, you're like, okay, is that right? You know, and they go, oh, you know, it's like you're sliding home. You know what I mean? But on concrete. Right. So I ain't do that. I was like, man, go ahead, man. I'm gonna let you go. But I saw him years later, because it did affect me. But I ain't do the flex kick. You know, I'm trying to learn, right? You know, you can't be going around doing all that stuff all the time, right? So somebody hurt your feelings or whatever. So I saw him and I was doing, you remember the show Rock?
Yeah.
I was doing a live version of that. You know, it was a live in front of TV. Mm-hmm. Can't make no mistakes. It was like Broadway. And he was there. So I took him outside. And I said, man, I was up in Brooklyn, man. You really hurt my feelings. I told him what happened. He's like, oh, man. My bad. And we talked, and then we've been friends.
Nice.
I ended up doing Bamboozled and, you know, all of that.
Yeah.
But I still, if I wanted to.
You still could have did the kick.
If I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? He littler than me, too. I could probably, and he'd be gone. You know what I mean? Plus, he kind of walk a little bit like that anyway. It'll catch the momentum, and he'll be gone. Something like that could kill him, because he'll, like.
Like, you guys really, like, poked, you know, at people's situations on the show. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when you played Michael Jackson, right. There's the whole inappropriate thing around kids. You know, there's a whole Macaulay Culkin skit where Michael kept trying to get with Macaulay and he kept kind of trying to dodge him and so forth. Right. And
we went for the gusto.
You went for the gusto. Yeah. What's interesting, you may not know this part of the story, is I interviewed Fab Morvan of Milli Vanilli.
Okay.
And they said, you know, well, he said, because the other member had passed away, right?
Yeah, that's right.
He said, you know, because remember, Milli Vanilli was the hottest thing in the world. They came, you know, when they came out, they went however many times platinum. They won the New Artist Grammy and, like, I think the Song of the Year Grammy.
Yeah, take Kanye and make two of them.
Right. They were the biggest thing, but no one really knew they were lip syncing. Right. And he said, until In Living Color started doing the skits about them, about how they can't speak English. And he said from that, it actually unraveled the whole thing.
We were in London and at a hotel, and we were like partying with like a bunch of people in the hotel, like, you know, lavish lifestyle. Table is full of food, everybody's just loving it, champagne, alcohol, well, you name it. And we're clicking channel, and then I'm clicking channel, I'm like, yo, that looks like Rob and I. Like, it looks like a spoof. I'm looking, I'm like, but he ain't looking good to me. So I'm like, yo, shut up. We need to hear this. And we look at this, and we're like, whoa, I ain't liking that. You know, we cut the last part of the sketch, and we were like, So suddenly, it was kind of like, yo, man, people are like they're getting close.
They blame it on In Living Color.
Man.
They blame it on your show.
I know.
Which ultimately,
yeah,
they became the first act that had to give back their Grammys.
Right.
You know. And,
well, I mean, it doesn't really lie on us.
no, I'm joking.
No,
I'm not
I
blaming
know.
you guys for it, but this is the effect of the show.
Right.
Like, you literally brought down the biggest music group in the world.
Right. Well, the tree was already in timber mode. You know, it was like timber. You know, it ain't goose yet. You know what I mean? It was just like, you know, that crack. We caught it at the crack because what happened was they got caught doing that.
Yeah.
On tape. You remember the thing got caught?
Yeah.
Girl, you know it's true. You know it's true. You know it's true. You know it's true. And they ran off stage.
Yeah.
Because the thing skipped.
Right.
And
I know.
so we took it from there.
Exactly. But what he said, though,
right.
because when they did the little MTV documentary, they focused on that and people thought it was that.
Right.
They said that wasn't really a big deal. Shit like that happened at concerts and whatever.
Right,
I mean, everyone lip
right.
syncs. Madonna lip syncs at her concerts. He said that kind of came and went and no one really cared. But it wasn't until In Living Color did the skit on Fox with 20 million people watching that people were like, can these guys really sing?
Right.
And that's what ultimately unraveled.
Right.
And, you know, and their producer came forward and said, yeah, actually, we had someone else sing everything. And it all kind of came apart.
Hey, man. You know, hey.
You know? I mean, you guys.
Hey, we didn't pull no punches, man. If we saw it, we did it. You know, and some of that could be useful now. You know, it's just to do what you see and not take it so serious. You know, because it seems to be a problem now. You know, if you want to make fun of something or whatever, it becomes a bigger issue. But also, though, quite fairly, as we go on in this country that's based on, you know, in the Constitution, supposedly, you know, being equal and having the same rights. As we go on in time, there's different groups of people who are going to start speaking up for their own rights, you know, and they have the right to do that, you know. So at the same time, you know, there's now becoming a balance between the two. But to create a mob mentality, you know, to go after with vengeance, a group of people that, you know, got you wrong, man. They got you wrong. They portrayed you in the wrong way. They disrespected you in the wrong way. You know, to make that the attack, you know, to me is not the answer. To me, the answer is, you know, to once that offending group has admitted that they were wrong, admit that they were wrong, then we can move forward as Americans and just keep on laughing and keep on loving like we do. But it seems to be a part of the American way, you know, and that's what we struggle with, you know. You know, South Africa is at least taking a look at the race relations, and they admitted it, and they're doing something about it.
Right.
You know, us here, we're still working on that, and we're still working through our stuff. But that kind of what makes our country what it is, you know. And there's all kind of mechanisms that have been developed for everybody to have freedom to be able to talk about what they believe in, and that's the internet and streaming and all that stuff that's going on with TikTok and you guys and podcast and all that stuff. There's a balance there now, you know. But it sure would be neat to be able to laugh at everybody again. You know what I mean? It sure would be neat, and it's here too. It's always going to happen. I believe that that's just a part of of the way that we are here. You know, we get set back and then we go forward, but we go forward with positivity.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what my two eyes have seen. You know, I only got two. You know, I'm glad too. You know, because if I had them back here, I'd be like, I wouldn't leave the house. I'd be like, man, you know, I got to find out who that was. He just went in my garage because I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? So anyway.
Well, originally, the Fly Girls, the choreography was done by A.J. Johnson, the female A.J. Johnson, who we just interviewed.
You be knowing some shit.
We be knowing some shit.
You know the other A.J. Johnson?
Yep.
Who the other A.J. Johnson?
The Ezel from Friday, who I also interviewed.
This my man.
Rest in peace.
This my man. That's my man right here.
That's
my man right there.
Rest in peace.
I love that dude.
Yeah, me too.
It's my man right here. Okay.
Yep. So I guess AJ got offered to do House Party. So she left.
Do a little dance, y'all, like this now, like that now. Feel the groove, like this now, like that now. Do a little dance, y'all, like this now, like this now. Did the party at the fun house, the party at the fun house. Hey, me and Martin were in that video.
Really?
Yeah. Me and Martin started in that video.
Chris is actually...
we started in it. LL was in it.
Chris actually a regular on the show.
That's my man.
Yeah.
That's one of my best friends, you know?
Does stand up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I call him right now and it'd be like, drank. But anyway, but me and Martin were, we opened the video.
Aha.
So I was the
angel. I gotta go back and look at it.
Yeah, I was the angel. I was the devil and he was the angel and they were about to jump off the roof. Kid was about to jump off the roof. So we had to talk him off the roof.
Yeah. Reggie Hudlin, I think, directed that video.
Yeah. Reggie, it was the beginning for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Rosie
it's
Perez,
more like Reggie Hudlin because he got like a
yeah.
Hey man, I'm Reggie Hudlin. It's an underbite thing. Yeah, but go ahead.
Underbite.
He knows that.
And then J-Lo came in the picture. Now I guess Keenan Ivory Wayans was kind of dating J-Lo at the time, kind of, sort of, maybe something.
I mean, from what I can see, you know.
I mean, who wouldn't?
But I mean,
who
come on now. From what I can see, I was doing Strictly Business, and Keenan came into my dressing room at Strictly Business to my trailer, and he was like, "What's up, Tom?" He was just visiting me. He was like, "Yeah, this is Jennifer." I was like, "Damn," you know. And he said she a dancer, and she said she met me, and she was real nice. And he left. I was like, "Damn," you know. And I don't really know Keenan to be the kind of person that will be like, you know, now you go home now. You know, he strike me as that, you know, once he took her that day somewhere and he said, "Hey man, have a good day, man." You know what I mean? And I'll see you when I see you. You know what I mean? Because, she came up in that trailer and she was killing the whole game.
I bet.
Killing the whole game.
What was she, like 19 at the time?
She was like, I don't even know. She was just what she was. And when he said, "This is Jennifer," and I was like, "Man, all right, man, okay."
Okay.
I was like, you know.
I mean, we're cast members.
He got the full thumbs up. I was like, you know.
I mean, we're cast members having relations with each other, or the Fly Girls. Or
you know what? No.
No,
not that I know of.
You look at shows like Wild 'N Out. There's a bunch of Wild 'N Out babies. Like,
right. There's a whole lot of Wild 'N Out babies. Right.
Got a baby, two babies now with one of the girls on the show.
Right.
You know,
I mean, but we had just 5. Wild 'N Out is like another bucket of them, 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 another bucket. Now here's another bucket and 1 cup of them, another cup, and then 1 more bucket and action. You know, in that situation, I mean, it's like, damn. You know what I mean? We had 5 Fly Girls.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah,
okay.
I think 5 or 6. But the thing about them was, you know, they weren't looking for no opportunities or whatever. They were dancers, man, and serious dancers. They were like working their asses off, man. They were like us. They wanted it bad too.
Right, because J-Lo wanted to be in the skits.
Right, J-Lo wasn't on it,
but they never let her.
Well,
right?
She's really insubstantial at that point. Because she wasn't the original. So people don't, that's the deal. The original Fly Girls, you know, were like hard work. Not to say she's not hard work, because she is. Look at where she's at. Right. You can't get there without doing that, you know? But they were like our friends, man. We were all in it to win it together. You know what I mean? We were like the 77 Steelers, man. We were like we were all about winning, you know, black and yellow, black and yellow, black. But we were all about winning that. We were all about championship, man. You know, so it wasn't really a lot of that going on in the workplace. Now, the atmosphere, the set was a party. The set was, we were the hottest show still. You know, everybody, you know, when we shot on Friday, you know, it's typical to have Denzel, Bruce Willis, the Hudlins, Tupac, everybody gonna be at our show.
Right.
Just the taping of it.
Yeah. Well, at one point, Jammie Foxx joined the show. Was that season 3 or 2?
I believe it was season 3. And I think him and Jennifer came in the same year, but don't quote me. But you can rely on my book for that because I was very accurate about that, you know?
Yeah.
So my book, Living in Color, will lay out a lot of stuff. So they came in during that time. Doesn't make them insignificant in any way. They both were badasses in their own right, man. You know what I mean? And they came right on time, too.
Well, according to the book, you and Jammie didn't get along too well.
At times.
I guess there was like the first skit you guys did, and it wasn't in the script. He ended up like yanking your underwear.
Yeah, that wasn't the first skit. We did so much stuff, man. That wasn't in the first sketch.
Okay.
But when he came to the show, he came with fire. He came with all of what he had, you know, and was turning it out. There was just a sketch, The Ugly Woman, that we did.
Wanda.
And that was one of the that was one of the biggest sketches on the whole show. I thank him for that, man, bringing that in, because I was the one that was always in that with him.
Yeah.
You know, we could play off each other so good, and we would break script and stuff like that. But the deal, what happened was, and this wasn't any, there's no incident that made me hate him or whatever. But this was something that happened, and I was like, hey, hold on, man. Because I had some Speedos on, and that's it. Right?
That's it.
And so I'm running from him, you know, in the sketch. You know, you're ugly. I'm trying to get away from you. We're running around the table. Dude grabs the Speedos from behind and tries to rip them off of me in front of everybody. You know, and I'm holding them on. They would have came off anyway because he wanted to pull them down. So I held them up. But then he tried to tear them. But, you know, Speedos are made of like nylon or whatever. Yeah. So he really seriously tried to like have me naked, man. You know what I mean? So for 2 seconds, I turned around and I was like, I'll break your nose. You know what I mean? And then I was like, nah, but this would probably be history right here. This would be history. You know, it's just like, you know, it's just like I could have, you know, and I could have said, man, since you did that, I'm going to do this here, you know, and I didn't, you know.
You know, I mean, a lot of guests I brought on the show, like actors, you know, like for example, like a Michael Jai White, you know,
I am smiling.
Right. Who you did a
Black Dynamite with? Yeah. The Dune stole the line from the Dune, this big giant production that's, you know, has all these big stars in it and cost $50 billion to make, and stole a line from Black Dynamite, man. Yeah, the guy went to him and said, why you ain't smiling? He said, I am smiling.
Ah, there you go.
That was our line, man. I'm like, dang,
that's Michael's line.
Yeah.
Right. But
that's, you know, really, that's kind of a European trait they like to steal. But go ahead.
You know, but a lot of black actors, you know, male actors that I've interviewed basically said, it doesn't matter how much money I get offered, I'm not going to wear a dress on camera. You know, and there's always
well, now it just depends. No, just kidding.
Well, you know, I mean, and, you know, people say, you know, they feel that there's like black actors can't get to a certain level unless they wear a dress and demean themselves and so forth. Being on a show when one of the main characters is dressed up like a woman with a wig and makeup and so forth, how do you feel about that stigma and that line of thinking? 'Cause have you ever worn dresses or anything else like that?
I wore a dress one time to an audition.
But not actually on camera.
Not
that actually came out.
Not that I can remember. You know, some of it's a blur, but no. No. And, you know, with that one, I'm not of the opinion, you know, that I got to do something with your manhood or whatever, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. I think it's just a personal choice.
Yeah.
Where you're coming from. You know, You know, I don't know about a situation where if I had a choice, I'd say, give me the dress, man. You know what I mean? I'd like to wear that.
Mhm.
You know, it's just because I don't wear dresses.
Yeah, and
Has nothing to do with, you know what I mean? You're going to be in the movie, but you're going to be in the dress the whole time. And I'll be like, do I have a choice? And they say, yeah, you can wear the pants. I go, give me the pants, man.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, you look at like some of the
It'd
biggest.
be cold, and I don't even know how girls wear them. I got long johns and all. I'm living in California.
I mean, look,
they be like in heels and in the skirt. I'm like, you know,
you look at one of the biggest actors in the world, Tom Hanks,
mm-hmm.
who started out
Mm-hmm.
on a TV show
Mm-hmm.
where he dressed in drag,
right?
basically half the show,
Right,
if not the whole show.
Right.
Him and his partner would be dressed up like
bosom
women.
buddies. That was their show.
Bosom buddies, yeah.
Yeah, but here, you know, it actually becomes an area of importance for African American men because of how we've been emasculated throughout history and how not how we've been portrayed, how we've been betrayed and abused, you know, by the European power structure. Okay. So that's valid. Okay. Doing a role in a movie and wearing a dress while people say cut, and then you can go eat you some pizza or something. You know what I mean? But, you know, sexually abusing, you know, little black boys in plantations because you can, you know, or being, you know, just Alexander the Great, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about him?
He took over a big chunk of the world.
Right, and he was a homosexual too.
Was he?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and he's still considered this big old hero.
Mm-hmm.
And this big old, that didn't take away his virility, right? That didn't take away that didn't take anything away from him as a he-man or as an alpha male and all of that stuff.
Well, a lot of the Roman
You know
leaders
what I mean?
also, were bisexual and so forth. I mean, at a certain time, this was considered acceptable.
Exactly.
You know, in certain circles.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But African males don't come from that background.
True.
Historically.
True.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not something that was embraced by the culture. It's something that was across the board accepted.
Right. Shaka Zulu was never known to be.
I mean, so, you know, we have to be realistic about how we're seen. You know what I mean? If you're going to go to that extreme, can we still be looked at as virile? Can we be looked at as masculine and still yet have feminine qualities or whatever it has it? You know what I mean? It's an area that's kind of here, you know, it's kind of in between.
Cool.
So I take it to just a person's own personal choice.
Yeah. Oh, whose idea with the whole Wanda thing? Was that Jamie's idea or was that Keenan's idea? Or was it just a writer's idea?
That was just a great idea. I don't give a hell who came up with that, boy. It was funny. It worked. Mama's House works. What's the little boy? Tyler's thing works. It's funny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's funny, man. You know? And so I think it comes down to a choice. What happens a lot of the times, you know, when African Americans start to speak on these issues, we end up getting branded responsibility for the whole issue in the whole history of life. You know, what did he say? You know what I mean? It's like no one has that burden. No one has. I haven't gone out the house or got on a jet one time, and I've been around the world a lot, and I haven't seen anybody carrying the world on their shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a hard thing for anyone to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? The distance between right and wrong is wider than any of us could put together. You know what I mean? So if you ask an opinion and your opinion doesn't match someone else's,
which it won't.
You know, which you won't.
Which you won't.
You know, yeah, man, there was this really cool African that said, hey, man, you know, he who is without sin, let them cast the first stone. Like, he was really smart. You know, and if the whole world was an eye for an eye, then everybody would be blind. Like, that cat knew what he was talking about. You know?
Yeah.
So in that, I'm like, when it comes to stuff like that, I'm like, you ever seen them how they be surfing in Hawaii? They be hitting that tube, and you know what I mean. When it comes to that, I just ride the wave because none of, I ain't in charge of right and wrong. I definitely ain't got no hate or contempt on anybody from any group. Yeah. I grew up homosexual conscious, Black conscious, Latino conscious, Asian conscious, Indian conscious, European conscious. I grew up conscious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. Plus, I mean, when you look at these days in Hollywood, I think you have more people that are out of the closet. So more gay roles are being given to people who are actually gay. Like, for example, I was watching the original West Side Story and they had white guys playing Puerto Ricans. They literally painted their faces brown. Like, it was crazy. I'm like, this is crazy. But the new West Side Story, they actually got Latinos to play Latinos. So you got, you know, there's always been a weird kind of thing in Hollywood.
It's called the human race, man.
Yeah.
And everybody racing to get over that finish line, to be, humane and treated humane over that finish line. You know what I mean? And it's not a race. It's not the human race. This is mankind. Because if man ain't kind, that race ain't never going to be finished. You know what I mean? It may come a time, thousands of years from now where the tigers are going to be like, now we have guns. You know what I mean? And we'd like to start working. We're here to talk to you guys about having work permits and licenses.
We want our own country.
What I mean? You have a hard time telling a tiger no. You know what I mean?
Especially when they got a gun.
Yeah, you get caught in the elevator with a tiger. You're going to be making fun of his stripes. You'd be like, what floor? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Like, say something about my stripes.
Yeah. You're going to be coming up with tiger jokes. Hey, man, Tony the Tiger, man, was at, you know what I mean? It's like,
scratch your head off.
You know what I mean? It's like, everybody fight for your own individual determination because it's the right thing for you. And this is the type of world that should embrace you for your differences, as opposed to punish you in some kind of way or isolate you in some kind of way,
Well, I mean, in terms of working with Jammie on Living Color, in your book, you said Jammie was competitive and his brand of humor was being mercilessly mean. When Jammie found out he could score points with Keenan or the writers by making fun of me, he was nonstop 24/7 on my case. Keenan seemed to love Jammie teasing me. He never once told him to lay off. I had a scene with Jammie when he was chewing up the scenery at my expense. I looked at Keenan to cut, but he never would. Jammie was the new flavor of the month, teacher's pet. He was all that. And for example, I remember I interviewed Doug Williams, the comedian, and we talked about the Emmitt Smith roast when Jammie just tore him up when he wasn't even the person being roasted. Doug called it a professional hit job and a setup.
I think it was, honesty, in all honesty, and you'd have to talk to him. He's given some, and by the way, we're cool. We've seen each other since that time. But I think it was a professional hit job. I really do feel like I was set up because in retrospect, and I've, long time ago, I replayed, right afterwards, I replayed how things went down. It's almost like putting together a murder. And I just remember Jammie saying, don't turn my mic off. When you watch roast now, have you ever seen a roast where the host never has his mic turned off? I mean, normally you go up, you roast, you go sit down, you come up, it's a turn type of thing. But I remember him saying, don't turn my mic off, always keep my mic on. And you work with equipment here. That's something that has to be predetermined. You don't just say, hey, turn my mic on.
So saying that Jammie could be very mean when he wants to be. And especially since he's funny at the same time and super talented and could do impressions and music and everything else like that and could sing and so forth. He definitely has a mean streak.
Yeah, but not meaning to me. It's just one of those situations. The book wasn't for, hey, Jammie did this, or Keenan did that, or this person did that, or that person did that. Competition in the first place will put you in the point of having adversarial conflict with people. You know, that's one that's been the magnet that where the magnifying glass has gone onto that paragraph. The pages that I praise this boy for what he brought out of me and how much I love him, man, and how much he means to me, you know, and what he's been able to teach me watching his success, you know, that doesn't go on the front. That doesn't get examined. You know what I mean? This book wasn't about putting Jammie down or Keenan down or anybody. My book was about taking the experiences that I had that helped me get past conflicts like that and still have respect and love for that person, you know?
Right, but from what I understand, Jammie didn't speak to you after that book came out.
That's not true.
That's not true? Well, I remember reading an interview that said that.
He speak to me before the book came out. I mean, he did. He said hi and stuff like that, but we were never really like that. See,
Right.
I'm the real thing, you know, the real thing. Square up, straight up. You know, when you work at a job, because In Living Color wasn't my family.
Yeah, it was a job.
It was a job. When you work at a job, you're working with people that you don't know. So you don't really have the type of relationships with them that you would family. You know, because at the end of the day, the job ends, you go to where you're going, and they go to where you're going. And on any job or anything that you're doing with someone that you don't really know, you're always going to run into problems. You're always going to run into things where you didn't feel like you were treated fairly or whatever. The book is my book is for situations where you may feel like you weren't treated fairly, you know, or maybe you got somebody else wrong, you know. My book is about transcendence. My book is about being able to be in such, me and Jammie, no matter what happens between the two of us, or he end up not liking me for what I said, or I end up not liking him for something he did that far back. I ain't holding on to that. I'm just making an account of it. You know, he got his account too. You know, he can come back and say, well, Tommy did this and that, Tommy did that. But there's a difference between comedy and hip hop. You know, hip hop, man, you start those little beefs get started and people be driving by and kill somebody. You know, we lost Pac and Big. And what's that boy named, that beautiful dude from LA?
Nipsey?
Man, and it goes on and on and on. You know, we're not in that racket, you know. But the main deal for my book is to shed a little light on everything, because I'm all I have. My perception of the world and where I am in life right now has everything to do with stuff that is outside of me. The people and the circumstances around me that have shaped me into the person that I am, man, that's what I have. That's what I have to give. See, because it's because of that I can speak openly. You know, it's because of that I can give people their props. It's because of that I can speak honestly about something that hurt my feelings. You know, because we get into a situation like that at the gas station. Like, you know, we all one incident away from being thrown over the top. Have you ever been driving your car and you got your signal on and you know, you're doing your own thing and you're about to turn, and right when you turn, the dude in the other car goes, "Meh," and you're like, oh man, you want to jump the curb and chase him down and bust him in his mouth. Say, man, why you do that to me? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get enough of those lined up,
Yeah.
you know, without dealing with them.
The
Hey.
last one you snap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel you.
You know?
Right. And, you know, speaking of Tupac, Tupac actually came on the show.
My man.
And you and Jammie Foxx actually did a skit with him.
Yeah. It was beautiful. He ain't like you think, though. Tupac wasn't like you think, man. Like, you know, I watched Tupac before I met him, you know. First of all, the dude was like a prince, man. He walk into the club, he shut it down. Every chick in the place be like, you know, look who's here. You know, that young boy, he had it good. But, you know, the gangster persona and all that stuff like that, you know, it's a real part of him.
Yeah.
But the most important but the most important part of that is it's not him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He took drama classes. He went to art school. Like,
I mean, you can still be in drama class and be a thorough ass motherfucker.
right.
You know what I mean?
But he had that. He had the love of the arts and everything else like that as part of him.
What I'm saying is that he had respect in his heart.
Yeah.
When he came to the set, he wasn't like, yo, what's up? You know, he made me what's up. But like this, he was like, hey, man, you know, nice to meet you, man. I love you, man. Like the stuff that you've done, man, just being here is just like, you know, I was like, man, thank you, shorty. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's younger than me. You know what I mean? I was like, man, thank you, man. That's like, and then he worked hard. You know, he ain't coming there like, you know, what we doing? You know, like that. He came in there, man, with an open heart,
right,
open mind. You know what I mean?
It was a big deal.
He wasn't ignorant.
Yeah, because it was a big deal to be on Living Color at that point. Like everyone in hip hop wanted to be like Eazy-E. I think he performed.
Really?
I think so.
Did Eazy-E perform? It was so much going on.
Queen Latifah, like it was just like everyone,
so much going
everyone
on.
was wanted to be part of that.
So much going on.
Yeah,
you know,
it was a launching pad. I mean, Criss Cross, I think, got their start by showing up on Living Color. No, I mean it was a launch pad for not only the comedians but also the musical acts as well, which, you know, Dave Chappelle carried on in his show later on and so forth. But yeah,
it was you know, just, you know, long story short, without In Living Color, none of us would be nowhere. You know, it was that good of a thing, and I actually owe that to Keenan and his family. You know,
well, in '91 you got your first movie role, Strictly Business. And Andre Harrell from Uptown Records was one of the producers. And his intern at the time, Sean Puffy Combs, was your personal assistant on the set. This was back before, this is intern Puffy. And I guess there was a situation where he got into a fist fight with an Italian guy.
A big Italian guy.
Big Italian guy.
He was dropping me off at the set. And dude was telling me, yo, you park right there. You got to park over there. You know, and he was like, I'm just dropping my client off. You know, he's like, you can't drop him off there. Get out of here, as a matter of fact. He's like, this is the movie set. I'm trying to, you know, do this. This dude is like probably like 6'7", you know, 270.
Okay.
You know, and showing it too, you know. And so he's like, just let me get his bags out the car and I'm gone. He just needed a second to just let me out. And he said, I told you. And, you know, Puffy caught him with a quick one. Like,
Puffy punched him in the face.
Yeah. Well, it was more like of a corner chip here. You know,
okay.
It's like a warning nip. You know, you ever went to a dog and the dog, you know, you can't really tell the dog is mean or whatever. And you're like, hey, now, hey, now the dog. You know, gives you the warning nip. You know, and he's looking right at you. You know, you ever had that? The warning nip, he looking at you. So okay,
I got a Rottweiler.
Yeah, he'll do this. He'll do this number, looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, Puffy gave him that. You know, he you know, and he just caught him here. You know, just with a quick nip.
Right.
You know, because it just in case. Because dude was like, hey, I'll do it.
Bam.
You know, and then, you know, this
Blood.
was coming down here, you know. And everybody was like, ooh, you know.
Right. And he called the police.
Well, he was more like a walkie-talkie. Got a situation here. You know, I was like, that wasn't that much of an emergency. That was kind of a chip shot. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, you're picking him anyway. You know what I mean? He's like, you know, yeah. You know, I thought it was like like a Saving Private Ryan. You just thought it was Saving. Coordinates 59617. We need the. You know, I was like, dude, you're. You know, they had the phones where they had to crank them, you know. 615-544-11. We need the gun. We need a gun.
Not the crank phone. Yeah. Not the crank phone. Okay.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, you just got caught with a chippy. You know what I mean? You came at dude like that and he just caught it. You know what I mean? He just caught you right. You know? Whap.
Right.
144-551 on coordinates 95. You know, I was like, dude, you know what I mean? Like that, you know, he don't even have a rifle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got a gun, no. Whop. You know what I mean?
Right. So the police get
Coordinates
called.
5611, 4 on the 111. I need a gun.
So the police get called.
Sorry about the audio.
It's all good.
I like
It's
that
all
part.
good. The police get called and Puffy gets arrested.
Yeah. I found that out like in the middle of the night because he called me. He's like, yo, can you come down here? Because I can't get out on personal cog. You know what I mean? I can't. Andre and Russell and nobody. So I went down there. Got him. Come on.
Yep. You bailed him out.
Went about our business. And dude never forgot it. You know? Never forgot it. And I knew he was going to blow. Because Puffy used to take me all around New York. That was his job. His job was to show me the club scene in New York so I can get ready for my character. So me, Heavy D, we would go out all night to the clubs. And he would show me all the hip hop acts that weren't signed yet.
Yeah.
So Leaders of the New School wasn't even signed. You know, Black Sheep wasn't even signed. You know, these boys weren't even signed, man. Jodeci, he's the one that brought Jodeci through.
Yep.
You know, they weren't even like, their song being in Strictly Business is what made them blow.
Right.
You know, so he knew Mary J. And all of them. So when Puff did Craig Mack, I was like, plus he's smart. He don't care. He'll tell you what he think. Yeah. I had a widow's peak, you know, in my little flat top, right? So he told me, yo, you got to cut that, man. You know, I'm from D.C. Anybody from New York gonna be telling me nothing, right? So I'm like, I ain't gonna cut this. He said, all right, man, but when they get on the big screen, it's probably gonna stand out. I was like, I gotta take my chances. Man, when I saw myself in Strictly Business, this looked like a shark fin. Like, I was like, man, dude was right. I look like Count Dracula in that bitch. You know, I'm like, Shorty's smart, man. He ain't playing, man. This dude is smart. So, you know, he came out with Craig, you know, Flavor in Your Ear. But I knew he was a genius because he was gone on the remix. I knew he was gone. I said, he's got his own. He's not coming back. You know, that niggas is mad. I get more boots to the ashtray. Fuck the fear, wanna get mine the fast way. Ski mask way. Nigga ransom notes. Damn, I'm hamster. But damn, a nigga toe.
What you toe?
More guns and rolls, kicking in my boots. Invisible bullet. You know what I'm saying? It's shit. Blow tissues. Boom. Skeevy. Delicious. Give me coos, love me good. Ooh, damn a flavor in your ear. Grease. Hi. I was like, and he's in the middle of like, boom. You know, I was like, he's gone.
So, little
I get
side
excited.
Story. Little side story, right? So I remember I'm interviewing Busta Rhymes, right? Well, we've done a couple interviews, but this is like the last one we did. And I'm like, okay, Bus, you've done a lot of guest verses. Do you think anyone's ever gotten you on a song that you did a guest verse for? Busta looked at me and said, I don't know. Do you think that anyone's got me on a song?
Right.
And I said, Flavor in Your Ear remix. Everyone in the room goes, ooh, right? Because Biggie, you know?
Biggie, open that up.
Open it up, right?
Yeah, Biggie, open it up.
So Busta's like, okay, all right, I feel you on that. By Busta Rhymes' invitation. But during that era, the hottest dude on a song always went last.
I mean, hey.
And that's his point of view. You gotta respect it.
Yeah, with that remix, that established him.
Yeah,
that established him.
Yeah, well, that was the post.
That was
Leaders of the New School. You know, Busta Rhymes is a solo artist, first time. Yeah.
That when he did that, that put him on a whole nother level because people were thinking that C. Brown was going to be the one, and all of them were nice. You know, a Tribe Called Quest didn't get signed either, and Puff knew them too. You know, but he was a standout anyway. You know, the real cock diesel, the chocolate chicken. You know, it's like ain't nobody like him. You know what I mean? But that's the most the beautiful part of this business to me is one, there's enough for everybody. Two, you know, creative expression never ends, you know. And three, we can learn how to dictate our own future through learning how things work. You know, learning how systems work, learning how economics work, learning how human beings think. And, you know, Byron Allen told me something I'll never forget. He told me, what we do isn't hard. He said, people are. You know?
Mm-hmm.
People are hard.
Yep.
You know, and that's one of the smartest dudes in the business, you know?
Yep.
You know?
Well,
he ain't smart because he ain't doing no business with me, but we're saying though.
You're doing Strictly Business.
Uh-huh.
Kim Coles is in it. Samuel L. Jackson, one of his early roles,
Samuel L.
was in it.
Motherfucker, what? You know, that's his line.
And your co-star is Halle Berry in her first ever movie role.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I guess you and Halle had some sort of thing, but you were actually still married to someone that she actually knew, who didn't like her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. You know, the mathematical equation is I'm a man. And when she came on there, she shut the whole place.
I mean, it's Halle Berry at like how old? 20 years old or something?
You don't know who she is then. Everybody is like, who is that? Who is that? I was even like, who is that?
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, I was assigned to her. You know, because at the time she wasn't steeped in acting, you know. And this is one of her first starring roles because she had done some bit parts and stuff like that. That's no disrespect to her. We were at the beginning. And she's an unbelievable actress. I've watched her grow over the years and she's incredible. I gave her what I had to give her then, you know, and I ain't responsible for her success. She came into my sphere, a movie that I was starring in. They asked me, hey man, you know, make sure she stays on page and keep her in this thing. And I did that. And in the process, if you're going to be with somebody like that and you know, we shared a trailer together and in the process of something like that, you with somebody like that, you're going to kind of be like, hey, what's up, you know? But, you know, I could have just went ahead and whatever. But at the time I was married, you know?
Yeah, you were separated.
Yeah. I was separated when, you know, it's always going to be a time where you can make that excuse where, we ain't getting along or whatever. And this is here, you know? And that wasn't one of them times because, you know, the movie, my name was on it. I was starring in it, you know, and I had 2 very young children at home. I had a toddler and an infant, you know what I mean? And it was just one of them things where the energy was there, you know, and, you know, now looking back on it, you know, it's a mix. I wish I'd have took advantage of it, and then I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad that I didn't.
Yeah, and I guess when you told her that you were married to the girl that, I guess...
There was some personal stuff.
There was personal stuff, because I guess both of them had competed
They were both in the Miss USA pageant
Miss USA pageant.
Right.
So I guess when you actually told Halle, hey, by the way, I'm married to so-and-so, she just walked out and never talked to you again.
No, my wife told me, I know her. You know, it's a black woman, tell your ass. You know, I know that bitch. You know what I'm saying? You gotta watch that motherfucker. You know what I mean? And I was like, what? You know what I mean? I ain't like her when she was in a pageant with me or whatever, this, that, and the other thing. You know, she let me know, hey, you watch yourself. You know what I mean? And so when I saw her come to the set, I was like, remember to watch yourself. Does anybody have a mirror around here? You know what I mean? Yeah. Does anybody have a mirror around this joint? You know, but we became very, very good friends, man. We very good friends. And over the years, you know, been friends too. And she's pretty much Hollywood cream.
Oh, yeah.
Royalty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I haven't seen her in like a long time. You know, I'd love to see her and have a conversation with her. And, you know, life is life.
Yep.
Life is life.
Well, the one thing that I didn't quite realize until doing my research through this is the effect that Living Color had on the Super Bowl.
Oh, that's the big part.
Yeah. So these days, when you watch the Super Bowl, they get the biggest act in the world. You know, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Mary J. Blige this year. You know, The Weeknd the year before. Lady Gaga, Prince,
Right.
Michael Jackson, like who is considered the biggest stage for the biggest artist in the world. But people don't remember that before In Living Color, they had like an Elvis impersonator doing the halftime show.
Hey, man.
Like,
You know, like I told you Keenan was nice with his.
right. George Burns, I guess, did a.
Yeah. George Burns did some of the Super Bowl. Me and whatever her name was, you know, this 90-year-old white dude. But I told you Keenan's nice.
Right.
Keenan thought about that.
So this particular year, this was 1992. So during the halftime show, Fox, which was on a totally different network, said, hey, instead of this boring ass halftime show with George Burns or Elvis impersonator who you're used to watching, we're going to actually show Living Color with a countdown in the corner so you could go back to the game and watch the actual game when it's over. No one thought of doing this. The halftime show was somewhat of an afterthought, but they put so much effort into this show during the Super Bowl. And I guess so many millions of people watched it to the point where I guess afterwards people stopped watching the Super Bowl. So, you know, the actual ratings for the actual game went down. That the NFL got together and said, we've been doing it wrong. And from here on, I think Michael Jackson was the guest the following year.
I mean, you know, like I was telling you, Keenan's nice, man. And the people he worked with, the I'd say his offensive coordinators, just to put it in those terms, you know. They were nice, man. They thought of that concept, and it was bonanza. You know, it changed. I mean, he's made corporate America, you know, trillions easily. Okay, you see that thing with the West Coast thing at the Rams game? Was that nice?
Yeah,
that was a result of what Keenan thought of. You know, it was a result, and here with my, you know, hard ass head, you know, I'm thinking I'm not being treated fairly, right? Like I need more sketches on the show and this, that, and the other thing. And here come the Super Bowl thing, you know, and you know, I want to be doing something in this thing, man. I'm gonna say something, you know what I mean? So Keenan comes in, you know, and Keenan, you know, Keenan's the man. Keenan's like, okay, so here we go. And we were teammates, so it's like the locker room and we talking about what we're gonna be doing. So he said, we're going to be doing a Super Bowl show. We're going to be doing a halftime show. Okay? And everybody's like, oh, man, that's exciting. That's exciting. Kelly, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing that. Jammie, you're going to be doing this. You're going to be doing that. You're going to be doing that. Jim, you're going to be doing it. I'm thinking in my head, you know, I knew it, man. I need me some more, you know, stuff, man. And once he finishes everybody, he goes, Tommy, you're hosting it. Because you're the only one that can handle live. And I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, New Edition. Sorry. Doom, 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 doom. Doom, 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 doom. Sorry. Sorry. Keenan, I know. Anyway, I like New Edition. All right. What can I say, man? You like it? Everybody like New Edition.
Yeah, of course.
That's my joint. Sorry. But anyway.
Yep. Well, I mean, you changed really sports forever. I mean, with that, yeah.
And it was successful and we killed that. We killed it.
And
we turned it out and it worked. And everybody benefited from it because from commercials to everything, Super Bowl is a joint. And everybody knows it is worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I was there. You know, a little kid from Maryland, D.C., you know, to be there. I'm just grateful that I was a part of it, man.
Well, while you were doing Strictly Business in 91, you tried cocaine for the first time.
No.
No?
No. Not for the first time.
Oh. Okay. So you'd already tried cocaine before.
Back when I was a young teenager, my neighborhood was a drug neighborhood.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, but you started using while filming?
What happened was this. There was a dude in a project in New York, my cousin's building. You know, he's in the hallway smoking weed or whatever, right? And he came with this little substance. Y'all should try this. And said, all right. I was like 15 or whatever, right? And I'm not going to go into the whole drug law because that's the part of my book I want y'all to buy. We're going to black out this whole drug thing because you're going to go to the book for it because I think it's the most important part of the book because I want people to know how dark things got for me and that you can get through it. So I'm going to save that because that's the bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will bless you with this.
Okay.
Because this is the root of it. And I will work with the root, but I won't go to the tree. So then I was like, man, this ain't nothing. You know what I mean? Coincidentally, that same dude, I saw him in New York at the China Club, right? And my mind told me, I want to try that. You know? I want to try that, man. You know? And when I got to New York, you know, I hadn't drank in 8 years. You know, when I got to Hollywood, when I first got to Hollywood, I never did nothing. I just 8 whole years, and I happened to get me a drink when I was in New York and stuff. So I was feeling like that, you know, buzzed or whatever. I said, I'm going to try that. But it was a different thing then. Because when that got my bloodstream, everything from that point on just went on the spiral, you know. And I won't go into detail. I want to lead you to my book on that one because that's the most important part of the book. Is that good?
I'll take that.
My man.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
And the book's called Living in Color. Tommy Davidson, Living in Color. What's funny about me?
At one point, I think in the book, you said you were abducted by aliens, experimented on.
Mm-hmm. And that was that experience.
High off cocaine?
I mean, no, whatever. That was that experience. You know, I ain't gonna go into detail because it's too.
Wait. So
it's too.
You were okay. It wasn't a
The
drug
chapter's
thing.
called "Abducted by Aliens."
Okay.
Because basically, I was.
Okay.
You know, I'm putting it in those terms.
Okay, got it.
I'm not going to get specific.
Got it.
Yeah, and I grabbed the pill off the thing, and then I did this, and then, you know, I took a needle and put it in my ass. You know, I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to go with the chapter, you know. And when I say I was abducted by aliens, was that I, in my personal life, ceased being who I really was and who God wanted me to be.
There you go.
You know, and that's alien to me because look at it. I'm doomed, right? Let's go to the beginning, right? I'm doomed, right? Trash can, that's a miracle, right?
Absolutely.
So everything that started happening was counter to that miracle, you see? So that's why I named that chapter that. The reason why I'm not going to go into detail about it is because what's contained there in that chapter was the antidote for me and the reason why I'm here. And I think that's worthy of protecting and getting to people who need that joint. Because the world that we live in and the things that can take us over, you know, are so powerful and they're so foreign to who we are that we need help with it. And since I got help with it, this is mine. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the effective part.
Well, you were in CB4. It's almost funny how that movie really predicted how hip hop would turn out all these years later. You know, the fake gangster rappers and, you know, and everything else like that. Great film, by the way.
Hey man, it was
cult classic.
I was weird video, but it was just another example of someone coming along that I built my chops with. One of the things that people don't know is that me and Chris started together at the Comedy Store.
But you opened up for him at one point, right?
No,
you were touring with him or
yeah,
something?
we toured.
Yeah.
We were picked by Mitzi at the Comedy Store. We were picked by her to be the new comics of the future. So it's me, Pauly Shore, Mimi Ali, who's Muhammad Ali's daughter, Tamayo Atsuki, Laboka, Suzanne, I forgot her name, forgot her last name, and Pauly Shore. So we were picked by the Comedy Store to be the next big stars. So we played Vegas, we played La Jolla, we were the main deal. So me and Chris went on a tour together, and I did open for him because it was you remember Schlitz Malt Liquor?
Yeah.
The Bull? It was the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull tour, okay? And it was exactly that too, you know? And so we toured during that, and me and Chris been best friends before we even became stars.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest.
We grinded it out.
His stand-ups are so iconic to this day.
He's
That's the one person I haven't interviewed and haven't even actually met.
No, you haven't met Chris?
I have not.
He's brilliant.
I have not.
Man.
He's shouted me out before some of my mixtape projects and everything.
Good guy.
Yeah, I love. I know his brother, but yeah,
good guy, man.
Tony
both of them, good family and everything. But with that CB4, that was the first time I started seeing his genius start to emerge.
Oh yeah,
because he had a concept.
Yep.
His concept was, I'm gonna take NWA and all that gangster rap and I'm gonna turn it on his ass.
There you go.
And he was smart.
Yeah, great.
And you see, he ain't look back.
Oh no, not at all.
Look back. Yeah.
Well, and then in 1995, you were in Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Mm-hmm. First movie I had to audition for.
Well, because you had already done everything with Jim Carrey all those years. Audition for what?
Yeah.
He knows who you are.
Yeah, but I had to audition for all the black projects.
Right.
This was the first time that no one put me through that. He called me. I said, I got something for you. Man. Yeah. It was really a breath of fresh air for me, because you got to understand, I came into this world, between black and white, and I was I'm extremely sensitive about that. So, when I'm not appreciated or not valued by blacks, it hurts me more because of what I went through. You know what I mean? I take it more personal because my whole core is about color, And as a black man, which I definitely am, and I paid the price of admission for that, and since I understand exactly how society works when it comes to the African American, and guess who taught me that?
Who's that?
My mom taught me that, man.
Who's white?
Yeah, she told me out of the when I was out there thieving. Okay? And my brother taught me that too. My brother used to say to me, why do you want to be negative? Why do you want to be doing negative things? This is why I'm a white brother, right? I didn't know the difference between positive and negative. So I said, well, what do you mean negative? He said, well, negative is kicking over trash cans, taking stuff that you don't belong, beating up people. He said, that's negative. He said, positive is helping people, doing something that's good for you, having a good time, and enjoying the life around you, And so I wanted to keep doing those negative things because I equated those negative things with being black. Because I wanted to be that so bad, right? Because I was, obviously, right? So what is this thing about? I need to be down. Aaliyah had that. Was it Aaliyah? No, that was Brandy. I want to be down.
Brandy.
I want to be down. You got to be down. You got to be down with the brothers or whatever, right? So that was my initiation into what I thought that was. And ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's embraced. That period, that social period that ethnic groups go through in this country is like a badge of honor, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not worn on us like that. You look at The Godfather and it's like, it's cool to be that guy. It's cool to be those guys, man. Mm-hmm. You look at The Departed, it's cool to be those guys. You know what I mean? Yeah, brothers in the hood, the boys in the hood and all that, it's cool and everything, but that's still playing out right now. That was back in the freaking 40s when they were doing that stuff. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm caught up in this thing, where I'm trying to be this thing. And so when my mom found that gun and found that money and found that stuff and said, you got to get out of this house, she taught me some fundamental things about who I was as a black man and a black person. She said, you can't stay in this house based on what you're doing. One, this had nothing to do with black and white. This had to do with people. One, you're taken from people that live right where you are, that have exactly what you have. Okay? She said, there's only 3 ways to make a living in this world. Okay. She said, you can work for it. That's me and your grandfather and our family and people like us. They ain't got nothing to do with color. Right. The second way is you can take it from other people. Okay. You can do that. It's not that safe. You might not live through it. You always got to keep your eyes to them, but you can do it. And then the third, she said, but the third way to make a living is to inherit it. And from the people that you come from, you haven't inherited anything in this country. You haven't inherited any wealth. You haven't inherited any industry. You haven't inherited technology. You have no natural resources. You don't have a land base. You don't have a continent that you can go back to. So you're in the worst position. You're the main person that needs to take a look at the situation and make the right decision. You know, and it fed into when me and my sister used to go to school. See, she taught me these things. We would go to school, and when we get there late, we had to go to detention, right? So finally, she noticed that I was being sent to detention and my sister wasn't. So here she come again, right? My mother show up, it'd be some trouble. She called a meeting with the principal and me and my sister, right? Go over to that school. I want to talk to y'all. You know, she said, if you want to talk to somebody, you start feeling some shit, right? She sits in front of that principal. She said, so what's the problem here? He goes, what problem? You know, when my children are late, you're sending them to detention, but you're only sending my son is the only one that has to do detention. My daughter, you're sending her straight to class. What's up with that? And he was like, well, you know, first of all, I didn't know that was your son. She said, that shouldn't make a difference. That shouldn't make a difference. This is my son and my daughter. You're sending my daughter to class and my son to detention. It was a black principal, right? So, well, you know, I don't, you know, she said, I'll finish your sentence for you. It's because he's black and you should be ashamed of yourself because you black doing it in the first place. You know, she said, I don't appreciate that. Can you even the score with that? He said, yes, I can do that, Miss Davidson. And she pulled me out of school that day.
Yeah.
Whew, man, I get emotional to this day. She pulled me out of school, boy. She talks to me. My mother talks to me all the time. Man, she took me. I get emotional because miss her. In this world, you know, how it is, you know. She pulled me to the side. We found a picnic bench, you know. She told me, she said, you know what? She said, if you want to get ahead in life and you want to do the things that you want to do, she said, you can't be late. But she said, I want you to know something. Your sister can.
Because she's white and a female.
She didn't say that. She just told me, you know what I mean? But your sister can. She'd leave it up to you to, you know. Man, that was like, that shot through me, man, you know. And so from that point on, I started seeing that, you know, we all, from where we're from, whatever culture we're from, whether it's Eastern Europe or it's East India, you know, if you're if you're native from here or you're the Indian that was supposed to be an Indian because Columbus was lost, okay? No matter what, you know, we're on ground level. This is ground zero for everyone, you know, and counting, right? Click, 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 click. What time is it? And, you know, how long we going to be here? What we going to do with it? You know what I mean? What I'm going to do with it is just to understand who I am and just to do the best I can with the time. You know what I mean? And so, you know, this is an opportunity to do that. And I'm getting old, so I forgot what I was talking about, but I do know what I'm talking about, you know? And I had to come to grips with who I really was. And it's because I did that, you know, it's because I was blessed enough to have that information around me, you know, is the reason why I do what I do now, you know? This is more than just a job to me anymore, you know? but it is a job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like you. I'm like us. You know, once you get this bug out here and you see, once you come out here and you go for whatever it is, even if you want to be a freaking dairy farmer and you go to Wisconsin, you know what I mean? You'll start to find out. You know, you'll start to find out and know who you really are. You know what I mean? And so that's what it boils down to for me.
Well, the same year that the Ace Ventura movie comes out, your brother died of AIDS.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You guys were close.
Oh, it's my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure your mother was devastated as well.
Man, I ain't never seen her that sad. You know, it took her 5 years straight to recover from that one.
How did he catch it? Did he know?
No, he was gay.
He was gay.
You know, and it was at the time it was a gay disease.
Yeah, there was no Combivir and all these HIV drugs.
It was just that it came from that community. Yeah. You know, that you know, I'm not a scientist, so you know, I don't, you know, what nobody called me. It actually didn't come from that community. What it did come from was, you know.
Well, it just spread.
Know,
it spreads faster through anal sex than through vaginal sex. So therefore,
I'm scared to say anything. I don't want anybody calling me going, what did you say again? No, say that again. Everybody come here.
Yeah. Well,
get Tommy.
Yeah.
He just said that. You know,
it's definitely not a gay. It's definitely not a gay disease. It's a disease.
Yeah.
But it spreads faster through anal sex, so therefore it ripped through the gay community, unfortunately.
Listen, I don't know about how gays are doing sex. I know that it was identified by that community.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And I know that my brother was from that community.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he died of that, but he didn't die in vain, boy, because he was one of the people that took AIDS to Congress.
Really? Okay.
And made it a legal disease.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he was also my brother, man.
Yeah.
You know, the only brother that I knew. You know what I mean? The brother that I wish that I could have defended more when I was growing up in the black neighborhood I was in the black city that I lived in. I was just too small, you know? And me and him, he left here, we left clean. Me and him left here clean. He left here and we talked about our differences because we had them growing up. You know, because I had confusion about that. You know, I didn't know he was gay until he was 20-something. I used to call him all kind of names. You know, I used to call him all, you're gay and you're faggot and all that. I used to call him all that, not because I thought that he was a bad person or whatever, but because simply I used to get beat up all the time and I have a big brother to help me. You see?
Yeah.
So I was like, you must be that. You must be that. You must be that. You must be that. I ain't know nothing. You know?
Yeah.
You know, that's, you know, hey, that's just the way of the world. And, you know, I knew better than that because my mother said, you do not use words like faggot and you do not use words like that. In our house, if you use those words, you went on punishment. I was breaking the rules just to hurt his feelings because I was angry about not having help because everybody had brothers. You know, everybody had brothers and cousins. If I caught a bad one, I caught a bad one. I didn't stop catching bad ones until I got my friends around me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we even got to that point where we talked about that. We got through it and we got through here clean.
Yeah.
You know
That's dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Well, a couple years later, Booty Call.
The funny ass Booty Call. That's one of the funniest movies I ever made, man.
Booty Call was great. Booty Call was great.
Is that a funny movie?
Yes, it was. I love Booty Call. What's interesting is I interviewed one of the actors from the movie, Tamala Jones.
I love her. That's my girl.
What she said was that, you know, and to her, this was a breakthrough role. She was very proud of it and everything. But I remember in our interview, she said that when the movie came out, you know, Bill Cosby was on his high and mighty,
right.
You know.
Right. Why are we calling each other Shaniquan and we're calling each other this and that? You know.
Bill Cosby called that movie disgusting because he felt that it was demeaning that black people were naming movies after body parts and such. Right. You know. Right. And her response was like, well, look at him now.
He thought that we focused on advertising sex and he missed it. We were talking about safe sex, and it was during the movement of when our people our age were talking about sex. You know, TLC had the condoms over the eye.
Right.
So it was like, you can't stop people from doing what they're going to do, but you can advise them on how to be careful while they're doing it. He didn't get it.
What did he say exactly?
He said this film was disgusting and that it showed that African American young people only think about body parts and sex, is what he said.
Those were his words.
Those were his words. And because he said that, a lot of people that were behind me becoming an actress when I was young turned against me. My drama teacher from high school, I went to go see her. She was highly disappointed in me because of his opinion.
Huh.
But now look, and I hate to say that.
Oh. Aye.
Do you remember Bill Cosby criticizing that movie?
Yeah.
You do?
I remember Bill Cosby carrying on.
Okay.
Carrying on about black folks and what people should do and whatever. I never really let stuff like that bother me because I know one black man ain't responsible for the thinking of a billion black people on this earth.
Right. Was this,
So
was
I
this
don't
around the time?
gravitate towards that and go, you need to stop. He's just one dude.
This was around the time that his son got killed.
Yeah.
You know, and it seemed like he
yeah.
took it very personally and felt that it was a societal problem as opposed to a specific problem that just happened to his son.
I see it differently.
Yeah.
Because I was there. You know, and plus I'm just me. You know, I done turned 8 years old again. You know, when I was 8, I was perfect. Ain't nobody beat my ass or nothing. I was cool. I had white friend, African friend, Vietnamese friend, all that. But, you know, about that whole situation, you know, this dude is entitled to his opinion of whatever he thinks. He can think whatever he want to think, you know. You know, a black person can think whatever they want to think. And that one person's thinking doesn't reflect the African American worldview or the African worldview. You know, that's like taking Manson, you know, and then going, you know what, and asking the white person, what do you think about Manson, man? And what do you think? What do you think the significance that is of white society? And they'd be like, man, the dude is crazy, man. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's that ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's that ridiculous, man.
Right. But to be fair, Manson was not considered an icon of the community.
Yeah.
Whereas Bill Cosby, hey, listen, you can say whatever you want. The Cosby Show was a watershed event in America.
Right. Yeah.
In America.
Yeah,
like,
but
D.L. Hughley to this day says he
right.
doesn't think Barack Obama would have been president if the Cosby Show never happened. Because it caused society to look
That's true.
At black people a different type of way.
That's true.
There was no shows like the Cosby Show that showed a bunch of professional, successful, members of a black family with all their kids going to college and so forth, and nothing negative or stereotypical about it.
Yeah. I mean, but anytime you start dealing with numbers, we like, this is this, and then race, and then numbers, and this goes here, and then this goes there, then the reflection in the mirror is not so comfortable.
Right.
You know, like, okay, so let's say Bill Cosby is one dude, right? One black guy from the black race that did whatever, right? Let's take the amount of Europeans on planet Earth, okay?
Right.
And let's take the atrocities that they've imposed on the people that are on this earth and held them specifically and singularly responsible, right? And we're critical of it, and we're dogmatic about it and attacking them about it, when mathematically that little group of people are the ones that are carrying on the most and have the most on their record right now, at least since 1492, since they sailed the ocean blue and came on the other side, responsible for, genocide, even the last tiger got to start running, okay? The ice melting up north, I can go do that, you know what I mean? Right. But what's the need?
Yeah.
What's the need? Stevie put it, love's in need of a love today. Don't delay, send yours in right away. Right? Haze going round, right? The person who can't see sees, right? You see? So when you get into that area, or if I get into the area, it goes into the bad slot. You know what I mean? Hey, bad slot over. since the pandemic. You know, the second that everybody realized we're in the same boat, things are starting to change in that direction.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I'm on the good ship, lollipop on that joint. You know what I mean?
Well, when you see what ultimately happened to Bill Cosby, you know, with the prison time, and you know, he got out, but still, you know, there's things on record that he did, and you know, for example, people like you know, Michael Jai White, who's a regular on my show, says that he personally knows 3 people that have been sexually assaulted by Bill Cosby, who never came forward, who didn't want the fame, didn't want the money. They just personally told him over the years. Have you ever heard stories like this about Bill?
No.
No.
I ain't on. Nor was I an attorney in the case, nor was I, you know, a witness, you know, or any of that. Like I said, it's an event that took place. It was an individual thing. It pertained to law. You know, there was a verdict reached.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And obviously he did something wrong, and he paid the price for it. You know, I just don't see that type of same thing happening to Thomas Jefferson and George Washington and the Wilson family, the Roosevelt family. Let's say.
What happened to Harvey Weinstein?
No, I'm talking about
Back in the day?
No, I'm on a roll here. I don't want to forget the white people that I'm naming. Queen Elizabeth. Not Elizabeth, but the queen that was in charge of the opium wars.
Yeah.
You know, they're still looked at as
the original drug lord.
Yeah. They're still looked at as these stand-up people that have these ethics and these morals. Now let's do the math. If he abused 7, 8, or 9 women, whatever, I'm not letting him off the hook. That's his wrong. You know what I mean? But if we're gonna turn all the cannons towards him, how many black people you know named Washington? How many black people you know named Jefferson? You know, how many black people are lighter than me? You know, that's the number of rapes that took place.
Yeah.
Right. But when I go to Barnes and Nobles, like my book was in Barnes and Nobles, and one of the Barnes and Nobles ran out of ain't put my book in there, you know, and it was in Atlanta. You know what I mean? And I went to the lady, I said, why isn't my book in here? She said, if a book, there were only 2 of them. If a book doesn't sell in a certain time, we send it back to the publisher. You know, I was like, oh, okay. So then why are the books on Washington and Jefferson that were written like back in crazy, like way, way back about something and the man that lived way, way back, why are they still here? Because I've been going to Barnes and Nobles. I love that place. I have my little coffee there. You know, I go over into the little area where they got the action figures. I look at the anime. And ever since I've been going there, those same books about them have been there. But all of a sudden, my book is going to be moved because it's been there over 2 weeks. And the reason is that those are nice national icons that represent the principles of this country. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not of the opinion, I'm of the reality. I'm of the reality that when it comes to that, it gets a little imbalanced.
Fair
so
enough.
I don't take part in it.
Fair enough.
I just kind of, you know, what was that song? Double Dutch bus. I take the double Dutch bus. You know what I mean? I like Sesame Street too.
Well, I mean, speaking of booty call, in your book, you said while filming, you know, Jammie Foxx's, you know,
again, this name.
You said Jammie Foxx. You said Jammie Foxx tried to steal every scene that he could, and I guess the 2 of you got into a scuffle during a basketball game while on set. So an actual fist fight happened between you and Jammie?
No, it never got to that.
But close?
You got really, really close. But good thing my friends were there from D.C., so they like held me down. It was another one of them situations where I could have kicked Spike in his back, or I could have hit who was. I could hit him in his nose. You know what I mean? But it's not in the book for that. Like, you had fought before, you know. It's in the book to show how situations can come up in life that can throw you off your game.
Mm.
You know, also in that same chapter and in that same paragraph, you'll see me give that boy praise and how much I respect him and how much I love him and how powerful of an entertainer I think he is.
Yeah, he went on to win an Oscar.
Yeah. I think
really the only person from
Yeah.
Living Color that went on to win an Oscar, if you think about it.
Exactly. And you think I don't want one of those?
And he
That'd be
deserves
nice.
it.
And all of us want
That
him.
Ray performance,
Right.
he killed it.
Right. The
Killed it.
consistency, right. The consistency in that book is the message that I have behind incidents, not the incident itself. The book is about being able to you know, get past these things, get through them. It's about transcendence. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's more things about situations that I went through than 2 mentions of his name in the book. But it certainly is good for my book. Like, I'm glad I got the name association to be named with that dude. It helps me. You know, if Breakfast Club and all them, you know, had me on a Breakfast Club because there was a little mention of that in there, then I'm on there.
There you go.
Because it's an important book for me to get to people. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and then in 98,
Mm-hmm.
you were in Woo with Jada Pinkett.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
No, I ain't smack her. Good God. I mean,
Dave,
Lord. This boy got me hitting everybody.
Dave Chappelle is also in it.
Right.
LL Cool J, Dwayne Martin, Jay Parker, who I've interviewed.
Uh-huh.
And I guess there was a part while filming the movie when you went to go kiss Jada. And at the time, Will Smith was engaged to her, and it turned into an issue. Tell me what happened.
I really didn't know what happened for years. But this just goes to show you how together and cool Jada and Will are, you know, and how down to earth and how transparent they are and how real they are. I didn't know what happened that day. You know, all I know is that I came in the trailer and Will was like, "What's up with that, man?" You know, said, "Will big, man." You know, Will was like,
he is big and muscular.
Hey, Will big. He's like, "We need to talk about that." You know, this, that, and the other thing. So I didn't know what he was talking about. So he was like, you know, "Hey, you know, we need to talk about that like that." Like, so I said, "Okay, let's go outside and talk about it," you know? And Jada was like, "Nah, y'all don't go in all that." And I was like, "You want to talk so bad," you know? Because I was confused. You know, once again, I'll say this again. I hope it ain't becoming redundant, but, you know, I was at a amusement park with my brother when I was probably about 10. And these big black dudes came over and said, "Hey, man, why don't you give me some of your tickets for the rides, you know?" And my brother's a sweet dude. He gave it to him. Then they came back again, you know, and he gave it to him. Then finally, they just took the whole roll from him, bust him in his face, was stomping him and everything like that, you know, and I had to witness that, you know? So if somebody's going to, and if somebody's going to come to me, it doesn't matter who it is. They can say, "Hey," with that look. I remember that look. So I'm like, "Hey, you know, now I don't got to know what's happening with him. It has nothing to do with him. It has to do with me and the stuff I've seen and the stuff I've been through." And I'm glad something like that didn't happen. You know, I joke about kicking Spike and all. I'm glad that stuff didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because when I watch stuff like that happen, nothing ever good came out of it, you know? Even when I came out on top or whatever. So the best part of this is I didn't know what happened. So nothing really went down. It almost went down.
But it was about you kissing.
No, but that's what's key.
Yeah.
That's what's key. I didn't really know that. It took 15 years, 18 years to understand what happened. What happened was this. Me and Jada were supposed to kiss in the scene, but we never rehearsed it. So the producers were like, "Hey, man, this is the last scene. We got to get it done. We got to get it wrapped up. We ain't got time to rehearse. You just go out there and kiss that girl." I'm like, "I ain't going out to kiss her, man. That's not how you do it in acting. You don't just go kiss nobody. You practice it and you make it look real. That ain't my girl." You know, and so they said, "All right, man, we'll go and ask her what's up." So they came back in my trailer And she said, just go for it. I was like, you sure? It was like, yeah. I was like, all right. End of the day, movie, whatever, And I never knew. She felt a little uncomfortable during that time. The only way that I knew what happened, because I had years to think about that. Why did Will come at me like that? Will is a great guy. I've been to his house with the kids and everything. We've been friends. I've known him before in Living Color. I knew Will in 85 when me and him were in a studio recording. I was recording a go-go record for DC and he was recording a hip-hop record for Philly. And we met playing basketball that day in 85.
Wow.
So I'm like, why is this dude coming at me like that? I have 15 years to think about that, man. And that's the only thing I can come up with. And I didn't even know if that was right. Don't you know, I'm writing the book and my co-author's like, you can't say that unless it's really true, And I was like, yeah, but it really happened. He said, yeah, but is that what really happened though? And the only way I could really, really find out was I had to email them the paragraph and then write them a letter and say, hey, I'd like to put this in my book. Is this what happened? It took that long, right? And I was like, let me see what's going to happen here. And sure enough, my author called me and said they approved it. They said it really happened.
There you go.
It took that long. That's book worthy.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah, it is.
Well, but I guess while filming Woo,
on top of that,
your biological mother, who you hadn't seen in 30 years, technically you've never actually seen her since you were a baby, right? Who you've never actually seen, who left you in a garbage can to die, suddenly pops up. And your adoptive mother says, hey, your real mother wants to talk to you. And I guess Jada actually helps you to deal with all this emotional turmoil that you were going through at that time.
Yeah, she picked up something in my face or something, because I don't know. I know I ended up going to deal with it, but it wasn't something I was expecting at the time. We were on the set, and I got a call from my mother. She said, hey, I've located your mom, your real mom. Do you want to talk to her? First of all, I was like, what? You just gonna call me on the set? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? But she was about that. She was all about, that's who she was. She worked with Housing and Urban Development, the government agency for housing. So she would set up government housing around the country, and she saw her name because she knew her. She saw her name in one of the lists of the houses she was doing for Section 8, which was the government that's funding for low-income housing, right? So she called to see if and it was her, you see? So when she got on the phone, she said, you want to talk to her? I said, yeah, I don't know yet, And I just hung the phone up, ran to the set, I can't remember, cell phones was out then. And I was on the set and they would go, makeup and all this, and, putting all this stuff on, and we getting ready, and me and her. And she said, what's wrong with you? And I was like, huh? What you talking about? She said, something wrong with you. Ain't nothing wrong with me, man. Come on, let's go. Let's go. You got that? Let's where's your, we're getting ready to do the scene. She said, something's wrong with you. I ain't know it was that obvious, And I was like, what you talking about? She said, something's wrong. She said, hold on. Y'all hold on. She said, come here. She said, what's going on with you? I said, nothing, man. She said, something's wrong. Something's wrong with you. Stop playing. And I said, well, my mother called me and said that she found my real mother, so I'm just kind of dealing with that or whatever. She said, guys, that's a wrap for the day. Go home and deal with that, boy. You can't be walking around with that.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
Okay, so then you had a show in Philadelphia, and you actually got to meet your real mother. Did she look like you when you met her?
No, I didn't have a show in Philadelphia. That wasn't that. What happened was I got to meet her in the airport in Milwaukee.
Okay.
Because I was on my way to another show, and I was going through Milwaukee. So it was a chance to meet her. And so she brought, I actually sent a cousin of mine the picture of that last night. And I had my little boy with me. Isaiah is 26 now. He probably was about 3 then. And my whole family was there at the airport. People who looked like me for the first time. It was.
Yeah, because she had 3 kids before she had you.
She had 4 kids.
4 kids total.
I was the 5th, yeah.
You were the 5th.
Yeah.
And she looked like you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was there a certain level of just pure anger? Like, yo, you left me in a garbage can to die. Like, yo, you someone stopped you from committing murder on me. Right? Technically?
Yeah, you feel like that. I mean, naturally, I felt like that subconsciously, but I'm not going to know that, you know. The trauma that I went through from having to fight my way, you know, and establish myself as a young man, you know, in my black world or whatever, and what I went through with the racism from white people, the straight up racism that I get today too, you know, those scars and that equilibrium that I have to maintain is there, and it's a natural one, and it's a good thing, you know. But that stuff never had a chance to be triggered, you know. It happened too fast because I had a lifetime of that conditioning, you know, and building who I was, my consciousness into this person.
Right. You were 33 when you met her.
Yeah. So I'm not there, you know. It's not until we had a chance to do some counseling, you know, and we really got a chance to deal with it, you know. And when we really got a chance to deal with it, I got to see how my anger towards her, how that affected, how that manifested through my behavior, man, in certain situations. You know, so I got to see that. And she got to be honest about what happened with her. So we got clean. It was a good thing.
Right. She had addiction issues at the time. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to justify something like that. But then again, it's not my mother. It's not something I have to deal with.
Hey, man.
You know, so who am I? Who am I to judge or whatever else?
Right.
But I'm sure it was a very, very hard, you know, you call it an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, but you know what? For black folks, that stuff is easy. You know what I mean? Because if that was hard for us, we'd be burning down white banks now. We'd be whipping y'all ass. You know what I mean? Because we would be holding this resentment and we would be judgmental about what happened when it's gone.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what makes us who we are. That's why we're so strong and we're so spiritual. It's because we can stick through something like that, 400 years of that type of treatment, and still not be aggressive and attacking. We come from a non-judgmental place, you know, and we come from a loving place, even though that happened. And we're not the only ones, you know, we're not the only ones. I mean, the Irish came in here mad as hell about the potatoes, you know, and starving, and Britain taking their stuff. And then the Indians came here because Britain put their foot in their ass, you know, and then Vietnamese came here because of what happened with them, you know what I mean? We're all in the same pot now. It was Glory. I was watching Glory. I got this line from it. You know, Matthew Broderick goes to Denzel's character, right? At the end of it all. And they're going to be sent into the battle, right? And they know they're going to die. You know, and the whole country is going through this whole thing where slaves going to be this, that, and everything. And Matthew Broderick's character turns to Denzel and he goes, "This all stinks, don't it?" And Denzel, the character turns around and goes, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And it stinks real bad, too." And we all covered up in it, too. You know?
Yep.
So, yeah, it doesn't really behoove me to go that way. And it's not really a part of it's not really part of the cultural norm of where I come from. You know what I mean? It's just not our trajectory as Black folks. You know what I mean? And that's where I benefited from it.
Well, in 2001, you played the father in The Proud Family.
P.D., where you at? Sugar Mama! Hey, you guys got a ring in here. You hear that ring?
A little bit of an echo. Right.
Sugar Mama!
Which recently got a reboot on Disney Plus, which you were in as well, playing the same character as the father.
What is it, 20 years later?
Yep. Unfortunately, in 2006, your mom died of cancer.
I think it flipped it. I was all happy. you put a dart in my hand. I'm like, proud family. You died. Your mom. It was like, hold on, fly, damn. Yeah. One thing at a time. You got me. You took me from jubilation to, you did the Hulk on me real quick. Bam, bam, bam. I'm like,
my apology.
I'm like, what's the next question, man? No, it's all inclusive. It's all good. Yeah. And that was
Is your biological mom still alive?
yeah,
Huh.
she is. Yeah, that's going to be a pivotal moment in anybody's life.
Yeah.
You know, if anything that I could tell you about losing your mom is the world never seems the same again, you know? But the good thing about it was I was her greatest accomplishment. I was my mother's greatest accomplishment and didn't know it. Because my mother, that white woman, she saw me and she said, I'm gonna make something of this dude. You know? And I'm gonna help him with his purpose, you know? And my purpose now has validity because she did make me her greatest accomplishment, which was to be like her. Where she ain't see color. You know, where she cared enough about somebody that don't look like her, but knows that they're a part of the human family.
Right. Who's not actually even related to her.
She set me loose. You know? I'm like beast mode, but she gave me the ball. You know, they didn't give beast mode the ball. You know, it'd be a whole different Seattle. This boy in orange and blue now. You know what I mean? They probably still be doing what they doing had they gave him the ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She didn't do that. You know, she knew that she built me up as a thorough runner. She put an offensive line with me that's sufficient, right? She made sure that I was the type of quarterback to get that close. She was the type of quarterback to get me that close. She gave me the ball.
And you ran with it.
Man.
Scored some touchdowns along the way.
Although I'd like to have me some of them snack commercials like Beast Mode got. You know what I'm saying? That'd be kind of nice. He even got a Subway one. I want one of those.
2009, you did Black Dynamite. One of my favorite
like
films.
Kill My Ass. We did it during the Christmas holiday.
Were you part of the animated series as well?
Yeah. Cream corn. I'm running things. Yeah.
They're supposed to be working on a part 2.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how, you know. with the
Michael J,
imagination.
he takes his time.
Michael J, who lives down the street.
Yeah.
You know, is always on my show. Yep.
Yeah.
You
When
know,
my 10-month-old, when she's graduating from high school, I'll be at the premiere with Michael on that one. I'm just playing Mike. I'm just playing.
Right. Have you seen The Outlaw Johnny Black yet?
Yeah.
You saw it?
Yeah.
I loved it. I was supposed to be in
Michael
it.
never stops working. Michael's never stops working, man.
No.
Yeah,
Not
Michael
at all.
never stops working.
And, I mean, basically, The Outlaw Johnny Black is kind of like a Western version of Black Dynamite. Great film, man. Great film. And I love the animated series as well. Just so brilliantly put together. 2020, we talked about this throughout. You wrote your book.
Good thing, too.
And you're not stopping work. I mean, you still have all types of other projects.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found interesting while doing my research on you is that you have 7 kids.
I could constitutionally have them if I included someone that was like not a step kid or something like
6?
that. But I have 6.
6 kids.
Yeah. I got more than that technically, but.
Okay. And at 58 years old, you had your newest child, who is how old now?
She's 10 months. She's
10 months old.
Yeah, almost 11 months old.
Technically, men could have children whenever they want. They could have kids at 100. Did you plan to have another child at 58?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to experience that, you know. Relationships are hard, children are hard, family is hard. I ain't got to write no book on that one. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But I had an opportunity to actually have a child and have time with them, and to be able to be with them, you know, in a relationship that's conducive to that too.
Right, because one of your kids you didn't see until they were 3, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many kids' mothers do you have?
3.
3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it wasn't always, smooth sailing, I'm sure, along the way.
Hey man, Franklin Jai talked about the trouble we get in with sex organs, He said, God was making the sex organs, had all the angels around him, and he was putting them together, And he said, he turned to one of the angels and said, give me about 300 of those nerve endings. And the angel said, what are you doing? He said, don't you worry about it. I'm the good Lord. Give me those nerves. She said, these are really strong. He said, just give me the damn things, right? So he puts them in and he turns to the other angel and he goes, I want you to give me about 19 of those. God, what are you making over there, man? No, these things are so strong. You don't want those nerve endings. He said, am I the good Lord? He said, yeah, then give me the nerve endings. And he gave him, right? So he looks at the last angel and he goes, I tell you what, give me about 10,000 of those nerve endings. He said, God, stop. What are you doing? What are you making over there? 3,000 of these? He said, hey, man, I'm not a liar, right? I am the truth, right? I am the Lord. Just give me those things. He said, God, you only use 3 of those nerve endings in the whole ass. He said, after I'm finished, I want them calling my name. It's like...
I did not know where that joke was going.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, it's trouble for everybody. You know what I mean? And we children of the result. You look in the Bible and there's begatting everywhere. Begat this and begat that and begat that. I ain't making no sense of that. But the good thing is, I come from a family and a neighborhood and from people who were able to pass down to me a lot of ethics and a lot of morals that work in any situation. And I've been able to instill that stuff into my kids, and they're like me and like my mom and like my mom wanted me to be. When I watch my kids with other people, hold on, I'll hold for you. He's from Ukraine. They want to take you back, Vlad.
I know, right?
The plane. Hey, Ukraine. The plane. There's Vlad. Take Vlad to the plane.
Leave all this in.
Oh, no, hold on. Take Vlad to the plane back to Ukraine. He will be glad. I mean, he will still be Vlad, but he won't be glad. But the plane from Ukraine will take Vlad back to the Ukraine. Anyway, that was a bad Eastern.
It's pretty good.
Eastern Europe.
It's pretty good.
Europe. No, but when I watch them with other people, man, they're like me and they're like I was taught to be. They're kind to them. They're attentive.
Nice.
Man, they give a shit about people. When they're going through, when they're going through confusion or whatever, or they're having a hard time, in a relationship or whatever it is, they call me, they talk to me about it. They're honest about their part and stuff. I mean,
do you plan on having any more?
No.
Are you sure about that?
I am sure about that, but I'm not getting no vasectomy.
Why not?
Because I might end up the last man on earth.
You could freeze your sperm, right?
I don't care. I might end up the last man on earth. Or I may end up the only man with it. You know what I mean? If every man on earth decided to get
this is why you're not getting a vasectomy, because you might end up the last man on earth.
That's the last thing you want is to be the last man on earth and you shooting blanks. There'd be all these fine women around and they're like, man, I just wish I could, man.
Right.
I just wish I can give it to you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And here you are,
and you'd be like,
at 80 years old.
Yeah. You're like, why can't you? Why can't you? You can try. We'll just touch it and then it'll shoot off by itself. Or whatever.
Okay. So in the in the situation that you will have to repopulate the planet, this is why you're not getting a vasectomy. Right. Okay, right.
Hey man, it's a legitimate.
It's a legitimate reason, right? Okay, got it.
That's legit. You know, okay. If you, all right, if it was 5 dudes left, right, in the world, and it was all women, and you decided I'm getting me a vasectomy, right? And
you can still fuck with the vasectomy, right?
Yeah, you still can, but
it doesn't mean they're cutting your penis off.
Hey man,
right?
women, they ain't just wanting just that for it. You know, they're like, hey, I'm a child with this dude.
Okay.
You know, and so out of the 5, you know, I'm the one that didn't do it.
Right.
You know, tell me you ain't gonna want me in my group.
Well, like I said, you could actually freeze your sperm and do in vitro if that's really your actual
you ain't gonna
goal.
go and be doing no de-thawing when somebody is. You're like, come over here, Vlad. Come on, get this. You know, let me de-thaw. Hold on, I got this thing in warm water. You know what I mean? And I got a turkey baster. I'll touch it in the meantime. I'll touch it in the meantime while I try to defrost this stuff. What's going on with this stuff? You know, what's going on? It's not doing it. You know, am I yelling in here?
Okay. Well, at least you got a good reason for not getting a vasectomy. At least you have a valid point here, right?
Any man will tell you that. They'll be like, yeah, hey,
repopulating
man.
the planet.
Brother tell you that, you know. Nah. You know, it's worth something, you know what I mean? Yeah.
To each his own. To each his own. Human repopulation is a part of my agenda, but clearly it is part of yours.
Hey,
right.
man. Hey, you know.
Tommy Davidson, man, it's been an honor to finally sit down with you. I've been a fan for decades and decades and decades. Man, congratulations.
That wasn't so bad. I love that. That was a great interview. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Man.
I try, man. You have such a dope catalog of work, of timeless, you know, things that people still say to this day. You know, social media has, you know, brought back a lot of the old stuff that people have forgotten about, and you know, YouTube and so forth. They can watch, and you know, in living color, which is still a brilliant sketch that launched so many careers, not just yours, but really just all, you know, from Jennifer Lopez to, you know, Ace Ventura, and
I'm just
all these blockbuster
really happy
films.
about all of it, you know, and I'm happy for us, man. I'm happy for this world because, you know, we've been given a second chance. This thing got shut down.
Yeah.
We got to be a generation that saw how easy that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't got to shut the lights off ourselves.
Someone will do it
for us. And I think we're in the process of learning from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I could say, you know, I have this coming out and this coming out and doing this and doing that, but I'm happiest about that we've got a chance to see our future instead of messing around with nuclear buttons and carrying on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to see it firsthand. It's up to us, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So reach me on the real Tommy Cat on IG, a brand new company. But most of all, you know, today is the last day I have until tomorrow. So, and it's gone pretty good so far, Vlad, man. Thank you, man.
That's what it is.
Really
Tommy Davidson. Until next time. Peace.
Right. You got it.